he's here. I want to make sure because I have a couple questions for. We'll see. Okay, we got it. Okay, greetings. We'll start. We'll open the meeting of the Conservation Commission for August 23rd at the Bellingham Municipal Center. We're also online Zoom options. I see a few people online. Welcome. We are not awaiting, but we will be having a fifth member of the Conservation Commission, Neil Stanley, join us shortly. He's in transit, maybe stuck in traffic. And in the meantime, we will start the meeting. And I thank everyone for attending who is here for a hearing. We have two hearings scheduled at the same time, 7 p.m. So we'll just take them in order. We have them on the agenda and move through them expeditiously. Do we have, if we have everybody here, do we have either the applicant Carol Ricker or Jude Gauvin for 42 Silver Lake Road or some other representative? I see Jude, you seem to be online. Welcome. Do you have anyone?
Thank you.
Is anyone else here, Jude, besides you? Is the applicant going to be online?
I believe the applicant is online. It's Beth, I believe.
Beth is the applicant? Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking for a Carol, but it's okay.
That's Beth and Carol. They're co-owners. I think they're just on Beth's account.
Oh, that's right. I think I saw that on the NOI.
Yeah.
No, that's not. No, I'm not the applicant.
Beg your pardon? That's a different Beth. That's different. Okay, now we have a Carol connecting to audio.
Here we go.
Okay, I just wanted, I want to make sure, since we're so close to 7, that if the applicant is also coming online and you knew that, we make sure she was there.
Yep. Thank you. No, thanks, Beth, for clarifying that too. I thought it was Carol.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, greetings. All right, thank you for having on meeting here. We're going to open the hearing for 42 Silver Lake Road. It's an expansion of existing septic and extension of the water line for detached garage with in-law apartment. We have applicant Carol Ricker from 42 Silver Lake Road, as well as Jude Gauvin from, is that pronounced right, Jude Gauvin?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, from OHI Engineering Inc. And Jude, I will let you open up, and if you want to share your screen, I think our IT person, Pam, will do that for you.
Great.
They can share the screen. And then you can call up the plans and run by us the project, since this is a new hearing.
We're all set to share.
Okay,
Perfect.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay. So good evening. For the record, my name is Jude Gauvin from OHI Engineering. I'm representing Carol Ricker and Beth Pollock as the applicants. They live at 42 Silver Lake Road, and it's along the Silver Lake itself, and then there's a small pond to the side of their driveway, in which flows, and when it's low, it has a low flow stream that goes through it. I say that because here's the plan. So that the low flow stream that flows through is in this area here, which was located by a wetland scientist.
Excuse me, Jude, just for a second to make sure we're talking about the same spot that I was thinking we were along Silver Lake Road. There is a culvert for that stream to flow into Silver Lake, correct? And it used to be called Crystal Lake, but now, if I remember right, last few times, since it's drained down and grown in so much, it's more of a wet meadow, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay, that is the one we're talking about. Okay,
Exactly. If you see my cursor, that's where the culvert is, and the road is right where the cursor is.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So it has an associated wetland with it, which is located and flagged by the wetland scientist, as you can see here. Associated with that is the 200-foot riverfront and the 100-foot buffer zone. What we're proposing here, this is an existing 4-bedroom dwelling, and it has a driveway that comes up alongside the wetlands, which has already been approved and previously installed and has a certificate of compliance for it. What we're looking to do is we're looking to put a 2-car detached garage on the property. And the reason why we can't put it next to the house where my cursor is because you can see there's outcrops of ledge that are happening here. So the spot that really we wanted to put it originally, we can't put because of the cost associated with that. So there's an existing shed over here in the corner which we're proposing to take and move outside of the jurisdictional areas, outside of the 200-foot buffer zone or the resource area. And we're going to install a 2-car garage with an in-law apartment above it. There's a family member that needs.
Okay, Jude, hold on a second, you just froze up.
We need another bedroom
Okay.
for a septic system. So we have an existing septic system constructed here for a 4-bedroom system. What we're proposing to do is add another trench. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for a minute, but you're good now. We heard that last part about adding another trench.
Okay, a thing came up on my screen that said it wasn't stable, so I just wanted to make sure you could hear me. So what we're doing is we're adding an additional trench to accommodate the new flow from the septic system from the in-law apartment. There was discussion there's sewer down at the street, which is a couple 100 feet away, and we had looked at bringing the sewer down. This kind of gets into the alternatives analysis, as we looked at bringing the sewer down the driveway, but we would have had to tear up the whole entire driveway, because the driveway is right on the abutting property line, so there wouldn't be any room to the left-hand side of the driveway. Where the room would be the right-hand side of the driveway, where we saw outcrops of ledge, and there's a small retention basin that was designed to capture the runoff from the original driveway. So we didn't want to.
Jude, can you indicate where that is with your cursor while you're talking about that? That'd be helpful.
The sewer?
Where you proposed potentially look on the right side, but there's a detention base in that area that you're talking about.
Yeah, shoot, I don't think it's on this screen, but there.
Okay, so it's further down.
It's slightly off. It's in this area on the right-hand side where existing trenches.
Okay.
And you can.
There's a plot plan on the bottom right. Is it shown?
Let's see. Yeah, you see this circle?
Okay, yeah.
Right, it's right next to the 50-foot buffer zone, and you can see how that driveway is on the left-hand side, and it pretty much goes right along the property line. And there's also utility poles that go through that area.
Excuse me,
So Jude,
So
the
it wasn't really
circle-
feasible new.
The circle on the plot plan is where the existing sewer is? Just for the right of the 31823?
Right here.
Are you moving a mouse around? Because we can't see it. You froze up again there, Jude. So now we can see your mouse again. So you want to indicate where you thought we were talking about?
Right here is where that basin is. It captures the driveway runoff that comes down the driveway, and the driveway is tilted to the right-hand side of the driveway, and this captures the runoff.
Okay, the basin halfway down the driveway captures the runoff. Okay, I'm not coming up the driveway is the left side of the driveway, correct? That dot, the 2 dotted lines are the driveway going up?
The 2 solid lines right where my cursor.
Oh, 2 solid, sorry, got you. So it's the
Yep.
right side of the driveway. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yep, and then the driveway's up here.
Is the sewer visible on the plan, or is that farther down?
The sewer is out here in the street right here. There's a stub that was left at the driveway here, but as you can see, excavating up that driveway, you're gonna tear up that whole entire driveway, and then trying to get around the little retention basin. It just seemed easier and more feasible to add a trench for the septic system that's a few years old. We had already submitted this to the Board of Health and received approval for adding the trench, so they're okay with adding the trench to it versus going all the way down to the street for a sewer.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Steve? Okay. Since you mentioned Board of Health, I'll ask, did the zoning board approve the addition we had a similar case somewhere else in town where somebody wanted to do an in-law apartment above a garage. I don't know if it was existing garage or they were adding a garage, but is this okay with zoning?
We are before them. We haven't had our hearing yet. We applied for all 3 at the same time, and Board of Health approved it. We're here with you guys tonight. We have a hearing with the ZBA in the next.
When is it? Next when?
I don't know the date off the top of my head.
Next,
September 8th.
Thank you.
What date?
September 8th.
September 8th. I thought this was- Okay, so, I believe generally we will certainly hear the application, but we will not, I think, close on this, even if everything looks good for us until we get the ZBA as having approved it, because that's a requirement, I believe, for a project like this.
So you would approve it pending?
We could either approve it pending, or we may have still some additional questions we want to get clarified, and you might have had the meeting by then, but yeah, I just want to make sure that, both the, Board of Health, because it's, septic, and zoning, because it's, looks like a new building. Okay. Good. Can you go back to the larger plan?
Sure.
The corner of the bigger scale. Those things. The 200-foot riverfront is the large dotted line that's right above the word stall. Yes, it says 200 on the riverfront, and then there's a 100 somewhere in between there. 50. Oh, there's a 50-foot wetland buffer, and then there's a 100-foot riverfront, and then there's a 25-foot buffer. So they're well outside the 25 and the 50, but yeah, I'm just pointing out a couple of lines to some of the members here on looking at the closer screens. Yeah, just hold on the minute. On the top left corner of the new structure of the building where it says 3.89 to property line, 3.89 feet to property line, I just noticed, and I'm sure it was on the plan for some other reason, suburban zone versus agricultural runs right through the corner of the building. That's all still on the applicant's property in that direction, correct? In other words,
Correct.
that's not off. I see where it says property line is close there, but that's all within their property. It's just the zoning changes in the middle of their property or through part of.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, yep, there's a zoning line that crosses right through the middle of it.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens all the time. I just hadn't seen this happen and just be shown on some
Zoning
plans.
doesn't follow property lines.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So you can see the full property here,
Gotcha. Okay,
and I had to apply to the most restrictive zone, so that's what we've done on the application to the ZBA.
okay. Hannah, you had a question?
Yeah, you said you were gonna relocate the shed. Could you show me on the map where?
All right. Yeah, zoom that right there.
Oh,
It's shown on the larger version too.
Oh,
Yeah, I had to figure out what you
I
should.
can speak to that if you don't mind. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt and step on Jude's toes. I mean, I'm so grateful to be in front of you guys. I actually practice this type of law in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, so I understand the gravity of requesting, this type of approval. The shed that's existing there, we're just going to do away with probably. That's one of the reasons why we're looking for a 2-bay garage, because my mother, who would be moving up from Falls Church, Virginia, has a car, and I mean, she's 80 years old, and our goal is that she would be able to park in a garage bay. And the other garage bay would essentially take the place of the shed. So
So are they
the
not
shed
gonna,
is-
they're
sorry?
not gonna build the new shed that's shown on the plan instead of the new shed?
I mean,
that's your
I
purview to
think-
do that, but.
well, the shed that we have, we may relocate or we may just do away with. Our primary goal is to have a habitable space for, my mom, and enough storage underneath it with a 2-big garage that we could just potentially sell the shed and just be done with it. The goal is not to just put too many structures on the property. So our position really is that if we get approval for the 2-bay garage with the in-law over it, that would do away with the need for the shed, because one of those garage spaces would be dedicated to my mom's car, so she could park in the wintertime and have access to the in-law without having to, traverse the weather and everything. And we'd have the other bay to be able to use as a storage space, which is what the shed is now. So if the
Yeah, look-
shed is an issue, I would tell you that we can get rid of it. If it's a bonus, then we'll keep it.
I think for the Conservation Commission, that since you would be building a new one outside of our jurisdictional area, not impacting anything, that we really don't have a say on that, or a boat or in the water, so to speak. So that's between you and the building department, your budget and desires, I think. We just wanted to understand, since it was taking, the old one was there, whether it's gonna be built or not. The plan of record should show for everybody, zoning, building, Concom, planning board, or all the pertinent boards, the same thing. So if the final plans that are submitted by Jude have a shed on it, great, and you can have a shed. If you decide not to do the shed, just take the shed off. So they're accurate, that's all. We try to make sure that that's true for planning and Concom, but also I'm sure zoning and building department would want to make sure they know how many structures you have there. But that's gonna be outside of our jurisdiction range. I think we're gonna focus basically on the septic system and anything that's within the 200-foot riverfront zone that we have concerns or questions or issues on. I have a couple, but I want to see if Steve.
The intended scope is for a single person in-law suite and not to be converted at a later time to an apartment. That's correct.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we moved over from Franklin from a condo in 2013. Very happy to be in Bellingham and have the type of privacy we have. We're raising a family here, and we have no intention of bringing any third party onto our property that's going to complicate any issues. No, my mother lives in Falls Church, Virginia. It's just it's just not affordable for her now, and her options are very limited. And because there's really not an option to buy a place for her in the area, we were exploring this option so that she can move and have a place to live and not worry about, you know, anything. And, you know, she'll be here to help us with our kids. And there's absolutely zero intent to do anything with it other than to, you know, have my mom live in it. I mean,
That's good background. Thank you. Steve, is your concern about future rental or zoning implications?
More than is the system designed, would the system be designed
Gotcha.
for multiple occupants? So I assume there's not a separate utility meter for the electricity on that structure.
I
No.
don't know.
No,
Yeah.
it would generally be powered from the house, but there is a criteria for the family apartment. So the criteria is, it's a 5-year approval. They have to record the decision at the registry from the zoning board. And every 5 years, they come in front of the board and they discuss, they quantify the need. If it needs to continue, they say, you know, we're still using it for my mom and we want to re-up it. Or, you know, the person has moved out and we don't need it anymore, or they renew the application, then it's inspected at that time.
Does that survive the sale of the house?
No, so the sale of the house would require someone else to come in and re-permit it.
Before.
Understood. There's no intent to sell, and there's no intent to have anybody but
Okay.
my mom living there. So
Right.
God willing, she'll be there in 5 years and we'll re-up whatever it is that we need to re-up.
So I guess, is the septic system being designed for another 110 gallons or 220?
110.
110?
One bed.
So basically 1 bedroom, whether it's 1 person or 2, we go by number of bedrooms. Okay. That answer your questions?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
No problem.
Any questions for you?
Oh,
If you're still looking, that's fine.
yeah, let's just maybe hear what they have to play
Okay.
for erosion control.
Yeah, so Jude, maybe you still have some additional things you want to mention. One of the things that we'd all like to hear about is what you're planning for erosion control, both the stockpile area. I made a note to ask about that, as well as the actual site work. How are you planning on doing it? What are you putting in? Is there a detail on the plan there of erosion control measures?
Yes, we're proposing to put in straw wattles, which are shown as this dark line going through the plot plan right here. The water line installation is going to be a cut cover. Basically, they're gonna excavate the trench, they're gonna install the water line, and they're gonna cover it the same day. So there'll be minimal erosion controls needed for the water line to come up through the driveway.
Can you go to the other plan, Jude? That would be helpful. The detail will be a lot more visible when you go to the bigger plan. Thank you. And maybe start with the water line that you just mentioned, because that was a quick and fairly straightforward one. Proposed
Sure.
was further down.
So the current water line comes up the side of the driveway and then hugs the tree line and then enters the house. we're proposing to tap into it where it bends and heads towards the house. We're proposing to tap into it and basically excavate a trench along within the driveway to get to the new structure. And what will happen there is, you know, he'll go out, the contractor will go out and he'll excavate, he'll put the pipe in and he'll cover it that same day. We're not going to pave it probably the same day, but he'll be able to excavate, install, and then patch it back up. So the need for erosion controls is very minimal there. We'll have some on site. It's on the plan in the notes that says you need to have some extra for that type of work.
Yeah. Is that whole driveway asphalt? I thought I saw a note somewhere saying concrete, but may have been something else on the.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, it's bituminous concrete. That's just an engineering word for
Okay.
asphalt.
Okay, yeah, I recognize that now when you said that. I just don't remember the word concrete. Okay, so it's an asphalt driveway, you'd be trenching it and you would have to dig up a good chunk of it, not as much as if you came up from the street for sure.
Oh, no.
All right, does that answer your question? Yeah, big narrow trench, yeah. Show now, if you would, the dark, there we go, the dark line for erosion control, which you're saying just hay bale staked. Any silt fence proposed?
Yes,
What's the grade there?
it's very flat. It gets because it's 2%. It's kind of coming up along the top of the existing septic system.
Yeah,
But we're not on a slope. You can see the
it's fairly flat
the
there,
two
right in the
contours
septic area.
here.
Uphill
Yeah.
from the house, I know it's a very steep hill up to the back of Harmony Estates, I think it is. Isn't that back up to the property there?
Oh yeah, this whole, you can see how steep it is here.
Yeah, I think we walked another house somewhere along the road there who had erosion problems from Harmony, but yeah, that was, yeah, further up, yeah. And below on the other side of the driveway, it looks like it drops down towards the intermittent stream there, or stream, whatever it is. And the post rail fence and so forth. Looks like the lines get a little tighter. Trying to read the numbers, but it doesn't look like that steep there either. Okay. So
Because you have a 15-foot breakout that needs to be flat from the system too, so that's why it's flat in this area. This whole area here is relatively flat.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The soil testing data is 13 years old. Is that okay?
I don't. So why is the soil perk test or whatever? They must have done more recent perk tests for the health department, correct?
No, sir.
They don't have a requirement to have a certain number of years. Do we know?
No. Geology doesn't change.
Well, but from location to location, hydrology might change. I think we've seen that on Concom quite a bit.
Yeah.
But so groundwater levels go up and down and so forth.
Like I said, the Board of Health reviewed it and approved it.
Yeah, I just wondered about that. They make the call on that, I think. I don't think we have. We don't, yeah, we don't have any particular say, but it was a good question to ask at least.
What's the material? Is it all sand?
Yeah, what, do you have what the results were visible on the plan there in another corner? I thought I saw something when I was going through this earlier, but
Yeah, there's somewhere.
It's soil
here we
absorption.
go. So
To the right of that.
Model's not available, nothing. There was no water detected on that or evidence of water.
see how far down they went?
124 inches,
13, it looks like only 10 inches.
120 inches, which is 10 feet,
Oh, I was on the
And
wrong
then
side, sorry.
10'4" on that.
Okay,
2 minute perks, 2 minute perks, no models.
in the pond is the grade, so it may be in the.
yeah, plus it is on a high, it's on the high side, well above the lake, so level, so we're done. Okay, are we on? Do you have any questions? Off the top of your head?
I don't think so.
Do you, what's the feeling of the commission? Do we want to ask Hannah to take sidewalk like we have, or does anybody feel like going out for sidewalk at some point in time just to see the site or whatever? It's pretty straightforward project, and there isn't any wetlands delineation needed since they're outside of the range of anything.
Oh, something. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jude and Carol, you'll need to coordinate, once you have the zoning approval, and we've received that, approval through our office from zoning, that's been approved, then I think we'd be ready to issue an order of conditions and You'd be working with Hannah to verify the erosion controls in place before you start the excavation, and then obviously there are issues that come up during it. Either you notify her or if she saw something, if she's blind by, and then you expect to get this done fairly quickly. What's the overall timetable to do anything that would require erosion control to remain in place? Like the new house, you're gonna keep that erosion control up just in case something happens uphill there? Or
If
just,
that's a question for me, we're ready to comply with whatever
I-
the Conservation
I-
Commission wants us to do. I mean, if we
Putting
get
a
the
slab in,
appropriate
you're not digging a
approvals by
foundation.
zoning and the appropriate
Oh, yeah, something.
Conservation Commission approvals, then we will just move forward.
this isn't a slab, it's got a basement?
What's the dimension of this?
24 by 30. No, it does not have a basement. It's a garage.
So it's just a frost wall and a slab?
It's a garage.
Okay. I thought I saw a slab somewhere and I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's a garage, yeah.
Okay, well,
Well, that's what a floor is called in a garage slab.
okay, all right.
Question, yeah, so they're definitely cutting into the hill, to the corner of the garage. Where will those spoils go and how, they're at 238 feet, so the slope is running down the driveway where there's no erosion control. And you gotta continue to use the driveway, but what about onto the neighbor's land?
We can certainly, this slopes towards our driveway, this whole thing. This is a big, there's a cut for the shed here, so we're just proposing to cut further into the hillside. And that all that drainage actually drains towards our site and towards our driveway. But I would be happy to put a layer of erosion control, a line of erosion control along the property line, if that makes you feel comfortable. And
I think it would make the neighbor feel more comfortable, and yes, I believe the Concom would also support that idea. That's a pretty easy thing to take care of, and so you're gonna continue to cut into where the line's almost a solid blur there of elevation. And do they continue on beyond the building, down a little bit?
no, it starts to slope back down. There's kind of a hump right there, and that's why we chose that, or I chose that spot, because we can excavate that out and use the foundation wall for the garage to actually hold up that proposed slope. So
But it doesn't slope away just past, literally just on the other side of where you're stopping the work, so the flow could be down onto the neighbor's property, because the property line's right there, right? Or within a few feet.
I would be happy to go to the site walk. You'll see when you get out there. I can explain it, but it doesn't flow towards the neighbor.
Okay. I
So, Jude,
Yeah.
Jude, from the east corner of the structure to the west corner, you're cutting into the slope probably about 12, 15 feet. Is that accurate? I say that if they're 238 on the east corner, and one of the lines is around 246, 245 at midpoint, so I throw another 4 feet on top of that or so. Am I reading this correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So once we get these, once we get through this process, they're gonna actually finalize the foundation plans and stuff, but the intent is to nestle that garage into the hillside so that it's gonna look like one story from the back of it, because the whole garage part will be buried into the hillside.
Just word of caution that neighbors down the street, more towards Cross Street, cut into that slope and had quite a bit of problem with. They broke through into the groundwater by cutting into the slope, and had quite a bit of problem with water.
It breached the erosion control and.
No.
Different site?
No, different site.
Okay.
Wait, yeah, no, they cut into the slope and they had groundwater breakout because of that, so just a word of caution.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are gonna be waiting for, if you don't have any questions, I think, we are gonna be waiting for ZBA's approval, so any final, order of conditions, can be drawn up, I think. And with basic erosion control, recognizing that we're gonna add erosion control on the south, I guess it is, side of, and south and west side of the the structure along the property lines to contain anything that might get out during the digging of the hillside for the garage apartment. And I believe we didn't, yeah, sure.
Should we have them put on the site plan where they plan to stockpile them?
Yeah, that's a good question, Zach.
Yeah, well done.
Where are you going to be stockpiling, Jude?
I just wrote that down. I will put, when I revise the plan, I'll add an area for that.
And that we would require erosion control around as well, even if it's not within.
Yep,
If it is within the existing erosion control and is stopped from any direction flowing, because that's really loose fill, as opposed to ground that you're, working on top of or something. We would want to see good erosion control indicated on that with silt fence and straw bales usually, or straw wattle. Wattle perhaps is fine.
I have a detail that I'll show you for the stockpile.
I'm not, do you anticipate it to be a large area?
No, not at all. I don't
So
even,
if you're just, if it's just the cutting there, but I was thinking also if you're digging up the driveway and other things that even if you're filling back as you do it, if there's any other site work that would generate some fill, that obviously would be on the same area.
So is the earth that's coming out of the hill to make room for the garage being taken off site?
I would assume so. I mean, we didn't discuss that, but I don't think they want 200 cubic yards to figure out what to do with.
Well, usually, just as you know, in the order of conditions, it's fairly standard part of the order of conditions that I've seen over the last 2 years to require that any materials that are created on site that aren't actually being used again somewhere else on site, that they be removed from site. So it'll say something along those lines in the order of conditions. If you plan on using it, obviously it's being used, but you can't just leave it in a pile somewhere.
Right,
So
understood.
Removed off site in the buffer. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking just while we're talking, it's probably gonna be up in this turnaround for a stockpile. It's probably the only reasonable area for one, but it's not gonna be a lot of material, so.
Right. If you're reutilizing it in the area for leveling a foundation for the slab or something like that, then one level's high and the low is low, that's amongst what, your plans are to do with it. But anything that's left that isn't being utilized somewhere in the construction project should be removed off site. It'll basically say that, I think, in the order of conditions, that's pretty standard. And then we're all set. No question about, oh, why we didn't know what to do with it or anything like that.
Right, I got it.
Okay. So we're gonna need a slightly revised set of plans. Zoning may change things. If they do, obviously reflect that in the plans. Your decision about the shed is not overly of a concern to us because we don't regulate the shed or how many buildings you have on the property, but it would be nice for everyone to have an accurate set of plans. So maybe post zoning meeting and prior to submitting a revised plans to us with the erosion control changes on it to Hannah, that you could reflect the accurate number of buildings would be good. And the storage area for the erosion, for the materials.
Sorry, do we need to know how much cubic yardage being moved?
I've never seen that asked for.
Okay.
As long as they contain it, I think it's up to them. No doubt. Unless you.
I'm gonna apologize about the wrench about the shed. I think Jude has been working with us in terms of what's existing, so I apologize for throwing that wrench to Jude, whether or not we'll keep the shed, but regardless, the accurate set of plans will reflect whether it's gone or there. So I'm sorry, Jude, for throwing that out there that we would just get rid of it, but
This is an iterative process, so this is typical, like, we'll revise the plans and everyone will get a complete set of plans that what's actually happening once we get through ZBA and based on the comments of the commission, so I'm on board with all that.
Okay, in the meantime, since that will take until, what was your meeting? For zoning again, I'll make a note. I heard you say it, but I didn't write it down.
September 8th.
Okay, so by 9/8, we will try to get, if any Concom members want to join Hannah, maybe arrange something, if somebody else would like to lay eyes on it. It's a quick trip. But at least have Hannah take a quick look at it, maybe take some pictures for the commission if they want to have it. We can share them online or something like that, and just make sure that we're, some of us are at least visually laying some eyes on the site. We don't have to delineate any wetlands lines or anything like that, so it's pretty straightforward on that.
No, it's good. It's good to have someone see the site. It'll make sense once you go.
Yeah,
A lot of lines on the plan.
Yes, yes. it does. Okay, any other questions for this particular applicant? Any other things you need to raise, Jude, that you didn't cover already?
No, the only thing I was gonna mention is DEP's been pretty slow with issuing the numbers, so
didn't even
you know,
notice
that
that.
might be the only hiccup once we get to the end, but. I think
No,
we've got a solid
DEP.
plan.
They need 105, they need something after the 105. That's the DEP one. Okay, so yeah, definitely keep Hannah posted on that and let us know as soon as you get that, because that is a requirement, because we will not be able to issue a permit without the.
Exactly. I know, I'm dealing with it other places.
I'm sure you're chasing after, that's fine. Okay, should we, original, or just continue? Just continue. Okay, so
It's too much up in the.
yeah, there's a fair bit of things up in the air with ZBA and so forth. Our next meeting is
The 13th.
the 13th, so it's shortly after you're done with the zoning, so. If you can get your information adjusted and get that to Hannah on a timely basis, we'll take a look at the site, some of us at least before then, and. Before our next meeting, and then if everything looks good, we'll continue this till that meeting, and then pending any problems, if there's any problems, we anticipate that we would. Vote on, and I won't speak for the board, if they move to accept it, then you would get the order of conditions shortly thereafter and can move forward. That sound good?
Perfect plan. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your
All right, so I
consideration.
move- I'll take it.
Do we think that's enough time between the ZBA hearing and our next meeting to have?
The ZBA is the 8th, ours is the 13th?
13 is ours.
Yeah, 13th starts, yeah.
He'll make a decision the same night. They will.
Okay, all right, we're trying to confirm whether the ZBA would have a hearing, have an issue of approval or not to you guys, and any changes in the plans, obviously, you'd have to quickly tweak in order to get to us, but since we've,
They won't have enough time to give it to us.
well, not before 10 days in advance, but we've seen everything on the plans and nothing is changing, I think we're good with at least bring it to the next meeting,
See what
make a
changes.
decision then vote, if everything's in order, if nothing's, something's not in order, then we'll just continue on and take it from there. So,
I just need to know, is mom excited?
is your mother excited, Carol? That's the question, that's the.
I talked to mom today. She's been downsizing, which I think she's been doing for 15 years, but
There you go.
I have a brother in New York who's got a lot of storage space, so apparently there's gonna be some, hopefully everything will work out. There's gonna be
Shifting
some
around,
shuttling of belongings to New York, and then hopefully here. She's excited, and we're excited to have her here to help out with our 3 kids if it all works out.
Great.
Yeah.
Hope she
So
knows
thank
the
you so
changes.
much for your consideration. I
Okay, we're
really
gonna,
appreciate it.
don't go just yet, we're gonna continue the meeting, you wanna know when it's gonna be continued to, so. On the
Yep.
13th, you have anything else on the agenda, something, that you know?
No.
We're gonna have a bunch,
13th.
we're gonna have a bunch, but
Yeah.
they're the first time,
but I
okay.
think-
So
yeah.
being the first to be heard tonight, and the first available spot on the agenda would be at 7 o'clock
Can we
on.
just continue until the 13th? Do we have to schedule it for a specific time?
I was gonna talk about that later, but for now, I just thought I'll throw it out at 7 o'clock, we're gonna at least say, we have to say until the 7 o'clock.
You can open.
If not. Yeah, we'll say for now, we'll continue till the I take a motion to continue till the 13th of September. For 42 Silver Lake Road. At 7 p.m.
Excellent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion, thank you. Any discussion? Yes, okay. Okay, all. Opposed? Okay. All right. And
Thank you all so much.
Yes, okay, aye. Very good. All right, so you're good. We have 5 ayes. That's a unanimous vote.
One,
So we'll see you on the 13th, or you may talk to Hannah before then, Jude, if you get a chance.
I will be talking to her. Just one correction before we leave. The meeting is on the 7th.
Oh, the-
I may have told Carol the wrong date, but I was just looking at the dates and there's no way that the ZBA meets on a Friday.
Thursday. Okay, it's Thursday. We're hearing from others in the room here. It's Thursday, so the 7th is fine. Just gives you an extra day before our meeting to
Exactly.
get things in order and make sure.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
As the vice chair just mentioned, I'll mention before, we still need to continue a discussion after we get through this next.
Yes.
About timing for scheduling, but for now, I'm gonna say 7 o'clock at least, or at another fixed time for the next one if we're continuing, before we do anything with the other ones. Since basically everything else is teaching, except 8 Bernier, and that's not until later, so. On tonight's schedule. So, I will check and see if we have the applicants here, Paul's here, you're. From Tim.
Snap Trail.
Yeah.
I emailed a request for continuance, but I didn't
Yes,
hear back.
yes, yes.
So figured I better drive over here.
Yeah, your continuation request was today, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was busy doing some stuff for work and I saw some emails flying, but I was like,
At like 3:30.
Yep.
Last one, 323. Yes, okay, well, thanks for stopping by. We'll get to you in a moment. We are going to open the second hearing that we had scheduled at 7 o'clock. Thank you for hanging in there, Paul, and is somebody on? I see Diane Cruz. Is anybody that's online?
Should anyone do Dan first? He's just looking for a continuation.
Yeah, but you guys were here first. We'll try to be quick and move along, but.
Well, I could put it.
Nice guy.
I actually have some.
You're not gonna be quick.
I actually have some hands for it, so.
Thank you, sir. We have the other version?
I emailed everything.
Oh, no, I think you got.
You want to share yours?
I gave you one.
Oh, not yet.
Okay, that'll be one of my first points.
Yeah, you'll have to.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll open the hearing for 12 and 15 Chase Street and Hartford Avenue. It's a notice of intent for a construction of a
Sure, but I'm
two-family
not
home.
zoomed in.
We have the applicant's representative, Paul DeSimone, from Cornell Engineering, and is Diane Coates on for, is anybody on here for?
No, the owner,
Okay.
no,
Just want to make sure, so you're the only,
Yeah.
we're not waiting for Tom Steves, the applicant to.
they told me for the walls, no, I think
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay.
there's 3 sheets to the stack, so.
Oh,
Okay. This one anyways, so this land is behind Rosewood.
One thing that I need to point out first, Paul, before we start. Peer review is going to be required for this project, as will probably for almost every project going forward with downtown. You know, Cope and Ann for many years worked with them, and I've been on board for a number of years, so is Neil. But both timing, I mentioned this in the previous meeting, and you weren't there, so I want to make sure I mention. We are going to be using DSC much more heavily than perhaps in the past, so peer review money before anything really proceeds beyond your initial presentation will probably need to get squared away. Your applicant needs to be notified by you that.
Oh, yeah, and I'll let them know.
that
I
will be
just,
squared away.
how long will it take to get something from them?
DSC will need to see the scope. They're not here tonight at the meeting. We didn't know to call them in on this, so. They're gonna have to be sent the information electronically. If you support it to all the hand, make sure she has everything electronically, she'll forward.
Well, I did a while
Yeah,
ago.
we can send it.
I thought something was tweaked. No, there was some more
The only
information.
thing she wanted was the data sheets, which weren't in the package.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and as of, this is just after the 27th, an email from me, and one of the last ones that you and she exchanged, she had asked for some additional things. Proposed mitigation, the filing fee had to be revised, things like that. I don't know if all that stuff's been done. If it's been done, great, but I think that was in some of the items in the Dropbox postings, and some may not been. So anyway,
So the final fee you corrected.
Yep.
And then you also.
Yeah, she said to me.
there's something else. It says, the project must include proposed mitigation for the 0 to 25 and the 25 to 50-foot buffer zones in addition to the wetland replication. That could be incorporated into the PSW's wetland report of existing and proposed site conditions. And then it said field data sheets, which you already mentioned, and then 30-day waiver, which was already done. We're now 30 days. So those were the initial things that I saw on the information in the packet, so. But anyway, PSC will be sent the information, they'll give you a proposal, your applicant, your client, the applicant can decide whether they want to fund it. If they do, we'll proceed. If they don't, we'll take it from there and see what happens. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. So the land is behind Rosewood. You guys all know where road is. And Chase Street is up the hill from Rosewood. The owner of the land, is trying to sell it. We had it flagged by Karen from the Westwood Conservation Agent, Karen Catrone. You guys know her, right? No,
That's agent from.
Westwood. She's the conservation agent from Westwood. She does all our flagging outside of Westwood.
she work for?
She's working for us.
Yeah.
Herself?
Yeah.
Independent, yeah, I don't know.
Outside of her town, so
But she's an independent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cliff and Ann know her. They like her, so that's why I use
They
it.
knew everybody. Okay.
But anyway,
Carry much weight anymore.
yeah, well, they liked her, so I used her. But anyways, so it's 3.9 acres behind Rosewood. The owner came to us and he'd like to sell it, so we had Karen go out and flag it. I explained to him that to get to the site where the uplands were, he'd need to cross that wetlands. You can see on the first sheet. The driveway, it's the crossing would be about 6,000 square feet. Over coming off of Hartford Ave, all the way down around like that, okay?
Okay, I thought it was.
So,
So is that why the alternative?
So we went with we had him contact the abutting owner on Chase Street. Cause we told him 6,000 square feet, you're gonna have to go to Army Corps, you guys will hate me. And so he went over and talked to Tom Steves, who was on the end of Chase Street. And he owns number 15 and number 12. So we were able to create an easement through 15 and 12 along the property line. To bring in the driveway, sewer, water, and not have to do that crossing. So the crossing we're gonna be doing is approximately 1,082 square feet between the two houses. And then we're proposing a replication of 2,500 square feet, more than 2 to 1. On sheet 2 of 2, it shows the replication area. The plans that Karen gave us to plant and spacing and whatnot. The blow up on sheet 2 of 2.
Where is, I thought lot 12 State Street was on the corner of Hartford and Chase. So down the street from this cul-de-sac that you're showing us at 15. What does 12 have to do with access? Because it looks like the property landlocked by 4 and 8, and I don't see 12.
12 is the last house on the left and 15 is straight ahead in the cul-de-sac. So the driveway will go between 12 and 15.
Well, 15 is this triangular
Right,
shape
right.
lot at the
Yes.
end of the cul-de-sac?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah,
No,
the property line is in
Property
here
line
somewhere.
right in the-
so this is 12 and this
No,
is
No, this
15?
is 12.
This is 8, 12.
Yeah, sheet 1 shows the.
That's your lot.
Well, they both say 15, that's why.
Yeah, 15 is shown down here.
And it's also shown over there, right?
Yeah, so that's what.
No, that is-
The first page is
Yeah.
what was confusing, it says 15.
Yeah,
for both.
no, I'm sorry, that's a typo, it's 12, that's 12 is on the left and 15 straight ahead.
Woodburn Court is 12.
I'm sorry, Woodburn Court. Yeah.
Woodburn Court is 12.
And correct, and Tom Steves is 15 on the
15.
first page, yeah. Okay, that was. I thought it was confusing.
He is Whiteman. He owns both properties, Tom Steves. He just has it another name. Okay, so Whitefern Corporation is Tom Steves. Okay, so he owns both houses. So he was able to give him an easement. So we only have a small crossing instead of that 6,000 square feet of crossing.
So how come the utilities and driveways seem to veer off the easement?
They're in between the 20-foot, we're proposing a 20-foot easement.
It shows
If you look at the
easement
big,
going
if you look at the big
here.
sheet.
with this easement.
So this is the property line. And this is the 20-foot, this dash line is a new easement. Okay, plus there's an easement on this side, so the dash line, so we widen it down here. We also shown 3 6-inch schedule 80 pipes crossing underneath, it's flat as a pancake at the crossing. Not gonna need a lot of pitch on those pipes. The water comes down from this general direction, this general direction, this general direction, and then you have a high spot in the middle.
Okay, Paul, because you're showing that over here and you get the back to 3 of the numbers, you're gonna have to either go over there and show the same thing, or stand up and hold it up, or confuse neither or
So that's
something.
okay, so. So everything is flowing in this direction,
You can do that easily.
this direction, this is Hartford Ave out here, going. And the floodplain is off the railroad in the back, that line in the back is the railroad easement. Well, it's not an easement anymore, someone bought the railroad.
So the section of the site that will hold the structure is depressed
No,
in that area.
no, it's, the water comes down in this direction and then it goes back up again, this is a mound.
Okay.
As you can see by the
Okay, I
contours,
see
you
the
can see the
elevation.
contours there. So we're showing that what they'll do here is they'll go in, they'll take the A layer out, the wetland area, they're gonna stockpile it in that area, you see a stockpile in the back there. Mulch tube around the entire site, then another mulch tube up on top, once the replication is built, they'll do that first. Take that layer of wetlands and stockpile and use that to spread for our replication area. Then they'll start construction of the duplex. All the utilities, the sewer, the water, and electric will all go out to Chase Street.
Oh, what's the level? Oh, there you go. Okay, so it's- Okay, just looking at some of the lines that are kind of hard to read the paint here. Okay, one of the questions that I think I saw in the peer review, that was done earlier, how long ago was this filed with, like, planning?
The plan?
Or, anybody at the town?
No,
No,
just conservation.
Oh, I saw it.
So the lot was created in 1966, so it's grandfathered into the zoning.
Okay, so I believe there is a requirement of 90% upland for 2 acres for a house in Bellingham bylaw.
But again, this is predates zoning.
Oh, no, I don't think that's a zoning, is it? I think it's common.
Yeah.
Well, that's upland.
You mean on your,
On our bylaws, town bylaws, I think,
on the Bellingham,
bylaws, not,
of conservation bylaw.
right, yeah, sorry, conservation bylaws.
I'd have to read that.
I believe
Under zoning.
I think I saw a note addressed about this project in particular, whether it was from Ann or somebody else, I'd have to go back and look at it again, I only took a brief look. And we can get into it more, but that's something that we want to make sure of, because yeah, the percentage of it, so while it's 3.8 or 9 acres. I thought that if I was reading what I saw as a note there, correctly, that would mean for two residences, even though they're side by side budding and townhouses, whatever, that would be 2 acres, we need 90% of 2 acres for each of them, one for one for the other. So on the 4 acre site, basically, you have to have 90% of that entire site be uplands.
Yeah, that's definitely not, I'll read the bylaws to make
Okay.
sure, but
Definitely not what, not the
not
case.
90%.
I didn't think that quick glance, but and I'm not,
I don't have to.
dive into it that level yet, but while we're verifying wetlands lines and things like that, that's, if that is the case, then that's gonna be, right up front, big, something to address right off.
Right,
Well, what's your total? I see you have 1,082 square feet of proposed fill.
for the wetlands. Filling of the
What's
wetlands.
your total disturbance footage, do you know?
It should be on there, should be on there.
Oh, this is disturbing too.
No,
They're disturbance.
They're not doing that.
That's the plan.
That's just to show.
alternatives. I don't see anything on it.
See this doesn't show.
Well, it also was a difference,
That was going to be the question, because
No.
the third plan actually shows the driveway.
Suburban residential, suburban-
So the first plan shows a replication area. The second plan shows.
Nobody else. That's just the.
the houses in the suburb.
Where they.
Where's that?
You know how that could be.
Yeah, but. Yeah. I mean, there's, the properties are all the way across. That's right, yeah, so.
The front, that probably that right away is probably be one.
Oh,
I mean, the frontage, the actual frontage.
Yeah,
so this is the right.
well, it is the front, that's his front.
That's
actually.
Yeah, that's his front.
That's
The front is onto the property, it's a private property, not just.
That's what makes it a grandfather lot, because it actually has frontage.
Right.
Question for you, how much frontage does it have?
Got 50.
It's 0.29 feet.
So I thought Mass General Law was for a two-family, it needs to be 12,500 feet plus 75 feet of frontage, no?
No, it's 50 feet of frontage,
It is for
10,000 square feet.
For a two-family?
I don't think it. Yeah, I don't think it has 2 family.
Oh, we should verify that too.
Yeah, well,
That building zoning?
Yeah, well, you
That
got
was-
zoning anyway, right?
That's zoning, that's zoning. yeah.
Yeah, I don't see the total disturbance, Paul.
I'll get it, it's,
Was it in your written notice of intent?
It should be.
oh, I think that's where, I think you're right, I think it's in the, it is on one of those sheets in the.
Could be the I would hope so.
I knew I put down some.
Yeah, should be.
What would that sheet be called?
That would be the Bellingham,
In the Dropbox or anything?
Yes,
Probably NOI.
Yeah.
Application,
Yeah.
NOI application?
Yeah.
emissions in NOI filing.
No, that, I think just, there should be an original NOI, probably one of the oldest. By the way, Hannah and Tim, I'm gonna press in the Dropbox, when we're looking at the filings.
Yeah.
For every Dropbox.
Yeah.
Hearing. It says, modified with dates for each of the things that have been put in there, whether it's a set of plans or a letter of intent or whatever. You can't rearrange those and sort those by date, which is really frustrating. So I'll look and see what the latest submittal has been. Can you check and see with the powers that be in the IT world or that know that Dropbox way to manipulate things in Dropbox, if we're just missing on something, because you can look at a grid form, you can look at a list form. I played around with it
Are
a
you
while today.
online or are you on your like?
For a total of
folder file?
18,000.
I'm on what you sent me. I opened that up in Dropbox.
So
and
that's like
folder. I opened the
six
folder, but I
or
can't read it.
five on
Okay.
the.
To see all those
That's the
things,
first
filings in
paragraph.
mixed order, especially when we get 20 or 30 of them, so some of the big ones.
Yeah.
Or even
Yeah.
5 or 10, it'd be nice to see what comes with it.
Okay.
It's sorted by that, if it's not possible.
Is it
Well, it is
broken
if
down
it's under
25,
the
50,
file.
100?
Um,
It is on the
Yeah.
data sheet. so
It
it's-
is.
depending like
I
if it's
understand.
actually in your.
So when you start to
here,
3,700,
and your Dropbox.
36.
Yeah, I try not to add it into my computer.
All right.
That's what- so, first one, do we-
Later?
Yeah.
Part of the same.
Well, it was really defined.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
All right.
I just wanted to check it. No?
So he found the disturbance number.
Yes, it's about 19, just under 19,000 square feet of permanent alteration to the buffer zone. Well,
Threshold mark, beyond which we have to do something different than just knowing. Like,
we'll have to check that, but
okay. 19,000.
18 and change.
So 2 acres is required for a two-family.
For uplands.
No, 90% of 2 acres, not 90% of the total.
No, I'll calculate and see
So
what
you have to calculate that. It's 90% of 2 acres, not the whole piece.
Well, no, I thought it was
The upland.
90% for every 2 acre house, and since there's 2 residences here, even though it's one building, because it's touching. I thought that it might be considered that out of the approximately 4 acres, you'd have to have 90% for one of the 2 acres, and the other 2 acres, like another 90%, so basically, the whole site has to be.
Yeah, it's 90% for 2 acres.
Well, the entire site is jurisdiction. There's nothing on this site that isn't jurisdiction.
Exactly.
There's not 1 square inch on this site that isn't jurisdiction. And part of the other problem is that most of the work isn't actually taking place on that site. All the disturbances offsite. Well, not all the disturbances, but the majority of the disturbances offsite.
The actual crossing is on
Another.
Mr. Steve's property,
Right.
correct. But all 3 of them are on the application. I had to file, even though, he's Whiteburn, I had to put him, Whiteburn, and.
Which is why they list the 3 things, okay. All right, these are good points to make as we're going along here. You can make whatever notes you need to. Maybe it's back up or catch something on it to make sure.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, Paul, anything else in this first stab of things that you want to?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I'll figure out what the acreage is, to cover the 2 acres and. See what I come up with.
And then we've got the surgery and,
We're gonna need a sidewalk, we're gonna need peer review, we're gonna need.
well, before we do the sidewalk, I'm not even gonna schedule a sidewalk for us until I know that the peer review is being funded, because I would want to have Matt with us or to do another sidewalk.
Correct.
I don't, unless one of the other council members wants to take it upon themselves, say, I will go out and verify the replication of the flags, do soil tests and so forth if necessary, out of the way. I'm not qualified
No, no.
with that, but peer review stuff.
No, this is.
Okay.
All right, so why don't we have Hannah, send over the electronic filing
Yep,
to Matt? He'll get an estimate for the
Yep.
applicant, and then we'll wait to hear from the applicant.
Correct.
Whether he wants to proceed, and then show it the board know.
Not speaking for Matt, since he's not here, I assume within 2 weeks he should be able to get a response and quote to Hannah, which she will then copy us on, so we know what it
And you
is.
use him for your sidewalks.
We are gonna use Matt for
Okay, well, that's fine.
foreseeable future, so, so,
BSD.
yeah, I think continuing forward with this to the next meeting, at least to see what happens, if we get all the information going forward, we can maybe at the next meeting. If there's more information to review, do that, or potentially say, schedule a site walk. Because by then, hopefully, the applicant has agreed to fund and has done so, so we have money in the account.
Yep.
Once that's in place, and we got that verified by Hannah, then we can work to schedule a sidewalk either with Matt or with members. Are you gonna have, what was her name?
Aaron will be there, yeah.
Aaron,
If it's, yeah, definitely. She can do Friday afternoons and weekends, so.
Okay, thank you.
On nights if we have light, but that's, you should, well, he'll know, the guy will know that it's a lot of flags. So it's gonna take some time to walk this thing.
Well,
It's
I mean,
right
they-
behind roads, it's pretty bad, let me tell you.
well, I mean,
We've been next door to it, the next
Oh my
property,
God.
455 Hartford, we've been on a
But
number of
right,
times.
right behind
That
those,
got
and it's all briars and.
Right. I'm just, what I'm saying is, 455 was mistakenly almost clear cut, a big chunk was clear, so in wading through what's regrown in the last few years, it's a little
Yeah.
burdensome, but looking to the right, we're happy we weren't going back there, which now.
Mr. Chair, but we're probably really only gonna have to do the WF series anyway.
No, whatever you wanna look at, I mean, she flagged the whole thing.
Yeah, that's like.
For this line on other people's property. Huh?
The one right on Hartford, rest. There.
No, they're not going up there. They're just gonna use this.
No, is it developed already, she said?
Oh, no.
It's just a fair chunk of.
It probably doesn't even look like frontage, right? The where it goes up.
You, it looks like a jungle, I mean, you just don't wanna go there.
It's right next to the parking lot just where the grass from Rosewood stops. It's right there. In between that and the other project we're working on, Hartford Ave.
Yeah, Rosewood parking lot is basically right here. And then it just drops right into that, which is their right away. Okay.
Put your deed on before you go too.
But just, you know, for future reference, this WF series is probably. Because this is off property and there's no work proposed in this area, so we could concentrate on the scope of the.
Although I think I want to make sure, Anna, if you make note to make sure that Matt knows that we would want to have him also review whatever Paul submits or has somebody submit on his behalf for the amount of upland versus wetland, or amount of upland, basically, because that restriction is on how much wet upland is the specifics of it, I think. So if it's total square footage, just to lay eyes on whatever it is you're
We
submitting.
could probably help that before we send it to them even.
Right.
That way.
I'll do that, I'll probably do that tomorrow, just
Okay.
just so I know for myself.
Okay. All right, any other questions, any other inquiries? All right.
I think there's a lot to unpack here.
And the other thing too is, I just wanna mention is, the guy that owns the land, I can't think of his name. Ballerino, who actually owns the piece. He got the easement from Tom Steves, but it looks like Tom Steves will probably end up buying it. So that it would be his project. I don't think this fellow, Ballerino really wants to build anything.
The only other thing I have real quick, Paul, is we just determined that there was 18, just under 19,000 square feet of permanent alteration.
Mhm.
And there's only 2,500 feet of replication.
Well, that's for the wetlands. The 2-to-1 replication is for the filling of the well. And
No
I haven't,
replication.
I didn't
No,
do any.
no replication or anything at all,
Well, I
no
didn't do-
mitigation at
I
all.
didn't do any mitigation until I met with you guys to see what type of stuff you wanna do out here.
I think
It's a big, it's gonna, that whole area is gonna be disturbed inside the hay bales, or the mulch tube, or whatever we put down for control. So what we wanna plant after the fact and where, gonna kind of have to work with you guys on that, and Karen, actually. I mean, the replication is a separate area.
You're showing erosion control right up to the edge of the well.
Well, that's because we're gonna do replication, right? And we're gonna pull this slope back and do wetlands in here. Once this is done, we're gonna move the erosion control up here to protect what we build down here in the wetlands. The replication.
Wait, what?
It is.
That's
So
under the statement.
when you move the protection from the north side of the stockpile to the other side,
So what
from
we do
here
is.
to there,
Yeah. Well, this will be in all the way
Okay,
around,
okay,
okay,
I
and
see
then,
that.
and then.
Yeah.
We'll probably leave that down here until this takes hold, even though we're gonna move. Not move it, we'll actually put new roads control at the top. We'll leave that down at the bottom just to protect it, the other wetlands, so if any, if this stuff doesn't go right away. At least that will be protected down.
and when do you remove it?
Once the growth has taken place, couple of years.
Yeah, which often will require the 2 or 3 year monitoring period for any wetlands replication
That's
areas.
written into the
It's
condition.
written into the conditions, they have to,
And you use biodegradable mulch food, so it basically breaks down on its own.
and usually, Steve, there's also a fund amount that's suggested by, in the PSU probably suggested, and the applicant have to agree to it, to put in the bond up for replanting, or if the replication area fails for some reason partially during that period of time, and usually at the end of that process, they just apply for, and if everything looks good, and we have a final sign off by, in this case, Hannah or somebody inspecting it, that the replication area has taken the way we wanted to, and we earmark them, we would release the bond. Yeah.
And before any certificate of completion of proof, they have to go.
What is the purpose of showing the driveway? Remember that?
Well, the owner that owns the land, if you do a limited project to get to your uplands, you're allowed to do that. That was 6,000 square feet of land. Okay, we did an alternative and went to the neighbor to see if we could do what we're doing now, to knock it down from 6,000 square feet of filling of wetlands down to the 1,000 feet that we're asking to fill in now. So it was
And you just didn't remove the driveway from the drawing?
no, we want to show it to you. Once it's, I mean, this
Sort
plan,
of visual alternatives.
right, this plan is what you're gonna see, the final, any, like this plan here, we shouldn't be having any revisions, because it's just a cover sheet. Well, that plan there will have, once we get together and do the mitigation stuff, all of the changes will be done basically on the sheet that you can see the biggest, the blow up.
Yeah, a notation, I agree, Steve, a notation at the beginning, because I was kind of confused with available and longevity, and that's saying alternative one not proposed, or something like that, right on the driveway itself there, which coming in from Hartford would have been helpful to know that we can ignore that, that was a visual alternate.
This is the bypass road to the end.
No, I understand. It's actually the third drawing.
Yeah.
In the sequence.
Okay, any other questions, points? No, okay, so.
You're amenable to a continuance, I take it?
You could use one.
Good for you. Okay.
One.
For now.
You can wrap this up in one more minute.
He is so optimistic. So
Things are done.
I like that one. Based on the plan to forward the information to Matt Byrne.
Yeah.
And for project budget proposal to be forwarded on to the applicant and his rep, Paul, as soon as possible, and then taking that information if it's approved and letting us know, and then we will try at the next meeting to schedule a site walk. Probably won't happen even scheduling of it until the next meeting, or else we'll make a note to make sure Matt is either zooming in or something to make sure his availability. And then we would, if whatever Concom was make it on whatever date is picked, which I think is a good date for most people. I have a machete I can offer. I can let it out and yeah. Anyway, we'll then proceed. So I'll accept the motion for continuing the 12-15 Chase Street and Hartford Avenue NOI hearing. Oh, by the way, you need a DEP number.
I haven't got that yet either,
Okay, well,
and that's gonna want,
The
that
previous
was,
applicant just had the same issue, so he's chasing, you're gonna have to keep
Yeah,
chasing, but
I've
you know the
been-
routine, that's gotta be gotten at some point. To the evening of September 13th at, for now, we'll just set a time, 7:01. You're up, this was about 7:10. We'll give them the fortune of like 10 minutes just in case, we can always cover one or two things if we have to. And too long. I looked at the motions, thank you, motion made by, or moved by RM, seconded by Noel. Any discussion? Not hearing them, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, okay, thank you, Paul.
yeah, we had another project we were working on, and I don't know whatever happened, but 10, I don't even know the address anymore. They kept continuing.
Cutter or
Ken
Cutler?
Cutler, yeah, it was the.
They haven't gone in front of ZBA yet.
Okay,
They haven't
I
made.
haven't heard from the owner or the builder, I haven't heard from anybody.
Okay.
So if I need a continuance, I guess I'm asking, it's been a while.
We even had it.
On the schedule?
It,
It got continued and then it never got rescheduled.
all right, so how long is that continuation, if it doesn't get rescheduled, good for before we have an issue?
Did you get a DEP number yet?
For that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did. Okay.
So.
Yeah, that one's been around a while.
That's one of those kind of things
That's
where
like
it's sort of
5 months,
clock ticking and
6
something's
months.
happening
It's
and
been
then
around a long time.
we have let things lapse beyond doing what we need to do. So we'll look into that and see if when and if we need to issue.
And I haven't heard from you, so I have no idea if you're even going forth with it. I told him to go to Lee, or Scott, rather, to go to the ZBA, to represent.
Oh, right, right.
Scott, so I talked to Scott.
Actually, they did talk to Scott, because Scott reached out to me.
We find out.
About the ZBA.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Paul.
Take care, Dan.
I have a note back in July, says Cutter was continued to September 13th.
There you go, Paul.
Oh, sweet, thank you.
So you can, if you want to chase it down a little bit, see if anything's happening.
See if they're gonna come in front of us.
Yeah, let us know because apparently that is something we'll have to note on the agenda.
I hope they go away.
If you could request another,
Oh,
if you
okay.
could check anyone, request another continuance in a timely fashion, that would be much appreciated.
All righty, I'll try.
Thank you.
Thanks, take care, guys.
Yeah,
10 Cutter Street.
Yeah, we haven't gotten around to doing this.
Yeah, because it's gazebo or a shed or something.
So,
Yeah, going to ZBA.
Oh, they're going to ZBA for a family apartment.
yeah, that was why I just.
Garage with in-law
Remind me.
apartment
And
and
there
a
was a- there was a-
1,000-gallon septic.
It was an illegal structure
They
on the
don't know-
site already,
Much-
plus the trash.
Which we just scheduled this. Okay, well, Paul will definitely be here for 7:05 because 10 Cutler apparently was scheduled for 7:05 at the same time. It doesn't, no, I said 7:10, that's right. I did say 7:10. Okay. You wanted to. All right. Okay, okay. I will jump out of order since I know 455 Park Avenue is continued and no one is here for that at the moment unless either Steve Testino or Diane Coops or Doma. Any of those three? Recognize their name? I don't recognize any name. Is anyone online here for 465 Hartford Ave? Because they might want to see this. Okay, if we don't hear anybody from that, I'm gonna, because Dan, is here, jump down to 0 Road Street, then we'll go back to 455 Hartford Ave. We have a request to continue this, so I will open it and then we will decide if we want to continue it. Open the hearing for 0 Railroad Street, 6-lot subdivision roadway, stormwater management for Snet Trail Estates. Applicant Michael Burr from Bellingham, Mass. Representative Daniel American from Legacy Engineering LLC. They have requested continuation as of today for some time down the road. Do you have a minimal time period that you need to do something by, Daniel?
No, we just have to add like 2 things to the plan based on the planning board. That's almost done, gonna be submitted tomorrow or the next day. So if we could get on your next meeting, that'd be great.
So we had a discussion about funding, which I know you were in the room for, perhaps. It appears that originally when this project was proposed, the Snet Trail Estates, there was money put aside for peer review for engineering only because at that time you had Matthews, but the project, based on the scope that was presented at the time, the roadway where it was going, replication and information that we had for a replication area, didn't seem to warrant any kind of request for funding for peer review for the environmental part. And I've been given to understand via Tim that the funding for the engineering side, or the project engineering has been done. But the funds are basically completely gone, although we in the past have pooled the funds that needed to shift them a little bit between the two, Concom and planning board. That's not an option for this particular project. We do have 2 things that we had mentioned previously that we did want to have reviewed, and because Cliff and Ann aren't here anymore, and things that are, we're not repeating everything that hasn't been done, but we want to make sure that we are comfortable with it. We are going to want to review the environmental aspect, and Daniel, I'm not Daniel, Dominic. Have you dealt with him from BSC?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So Dominic was going to do this because the scope is so small and he's qualified to do it according to Matt Burns. We don't have to have Matt come in necessarily, but there wasn't even money available for Dominic to do what limited review would be necessary for reviewing the changes in the roadway, minor that they may be. There are some environmental changes, impacts, and the replication area, just to review that, lay eyes on from a more expert than some of us point of view, that there wasn't anything else that needed to be addressed. we don't know what the amount of time, effort and funding would be necessary would be, but Tim. do you-
So, Matt did, contact us and said that the amount of money that was left, I guess, in the review for Dominic, that Dominic had, was not enough to cover the additional stuff he needed to do. He was gonna come up with an estimate and give it to us. I don't think it came in today. It was supposed to come in today. We'll probably have it tomorrow, and we can forward it to you for your client. To complete Matt's review of the movement of the road, I guess, and the replication and the pipe. That was.
Yeah, it's the crossing and the replication.
Right, and he was gonna come up with that amount, so we should have that tomorrow. We can just forward it over to you.
Okay. Sure.
So, based on that, and the timing wanting to be. Well, fair to Daniel, so he knows what the expectation is, that he can have for his client. What do you think is reasonable for timing to get Matt to, did he give any indication of availability first off?
Well, so,
And the scope, how long it would take?
yeah, he did not. He did not. It's probably gonna be on that estimate.
I would
Dominic.
hope so, worked on.
I think Dominic is probably complete, isn't he?
Dominic's done, yeah.
Okay, so we're just waiting on Matt.
Oh, it's just gonna be Matt doing the review.
Yes,
Oh,
or, I've missed,
Dominic's doing planning board, yeah.
but I understood that.
who's reviewing the drainage
That's done
under the road?
under the planning board.
That was done under the road?
That's planning board.
Okay,
Dominic.
Yeah, that was done under
Okay.
the planning board. Dominic did that.
It might have been even as subtle as by shifting the roadway slightly and changing the pipe configuration. Is there anything else from an environmental point of view that we need to take in consideration? Dominic / Matt, somebody via C takes a look at it, says, yes, no, if yes, what is it? How big a deal is it? We discuss it, whatever, move on. Same thing for the application area. This is where it's proposed. This is what's going to be done in that area. Is there anything else, again, from an environmental expert point of view that we need to review? If not, everything looks good to them, they sign off on it, then it could be a very quick review of those two things.
He did indicate that it wasn't a lengthy review. He said it was, just some stuff that he had to tweak and had to review it and then finish it up.
Well, I would suggest then continuing to this next meeting because we don't anticipate it's gonna be a long process and we expect to hear the information of the proposal and we would very quickly get that to you. You can look for it and or reach out to Hannah if you haven't heard. In the next few days.
so is that gonna be, is that 3 weeks till the next meeting or just 2 weeks till the next?
9/13.
It's 3?
Yeah,
Technically, it's one of those 2 to 3.
Yeah, we gotta jump
Yeah.
because we got an extra third Wednesday this month.
Yeah, that's right. It's a long number. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, any other questions? Noel, Steve, Marianne? Good month here.
Continue to the 13th.
So we've been going to the 13th. Yeah, 7:06 I hear. No, we did 7:10 and 7:05, so we better not do 7:06. That's reading in between. Rather not do that.
7:20 or 7:30? 7:25.
Well, we're doing 12 Chase, at 7:10, which would be just to do a site evaluation, peer review and see if he has any new information to offer. So that's quick, 15 minutes, I think, and he's done with potentially whatever. Paul just Simone would need for that particular one. So I would say. What's up? 7:25, I'm thinking. 15 minutes after the Paul's had his shot for 12-15 Chase Street in Hartford Ave.
Was 7:10, is that what that was?
No, 7:10 was, yeah, all the stuff, second was 7:10, 7:05 is the 10. Cutler Street, and then 7 o'clock is the 42 Silver Lake Road, which should be a quick. Okay, so if there's no other questions, any other points? No.
Only that SNET trail, SNETT trail was redundant.
It is, you're right.
Well, I
It's
think,
the Southern New England Trunk Trail.
I think that,
Or only one T in SNET.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Why not Burr Estates?
so when the signage goes up, if it's approved and the project goes forward, because we can't anticipate too far ahead, just, you might mention that step, because somebody in town will point that out, other than you.
Well, it's been pointed out.
It's been talked about.
Like technically, there's 2 Bellingham estates in town. Nobody knows that, because they only know the one big sign that's on 126 just by where Schaefer Nursery used to be. And the older one I live in, because I saw it on the original plans back in the 60s, but everybody forgot about it. So anyway, I'm not looking for a sign in my neighborhood, but that's okay. I'll take a motion for continuing the hearing for Zero Railroad Street, 6 lot subdivisions, stormwater management, SNET Trails Estates, till September 13th at 7:25 PM.
Second,
Discussion?
Is there anything else you need from us? Or you?
Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you too.
We've ever had any projects, but, were a new hearing and then were approved on the same day.
Yes.
what is,
Septic. What's that? Can you ask for the same
do you
thing?
know who these are?
Instead of we- everybody knew
Do
that
you think?
They can review the application. or-
Yeah, he can look a lot.
It's gonna be-
That's a big, yeah, we just got a creek in the room. I had to reach out. I had to mine. He has a tree. So we do have, that's like, first things that Ron back. We've dealt with that. Yeah. So we have. Here, okay, good. All right, so they're on for 8 o'clock technically, but we can advance. I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah.
like
It's 8:23.
Do we just want, do we want to open or close the other continuation?
Let me see what, I think. To be fair, Bernie, this is putting this over, by the way, because nobody else is. So
Did
we're,
you start hearing?
no, it's not, right, it's 8:20.
Oh, did we close that last one? I'm sorry.
Yes, we unanimous vote to move it to the, I assume we don't have to say we close the hearing and continuing, it, just by saying continue, it doesn't that automatically.
We are not closing, no, closing's
Well,
bad.
I heard you said we're closing.
I meant continue.
No,
That was.
I didn't say
Okay,
anything.
I'm sorry. He said, okay.
I'm sorry. That was.
Don't listen to him. Okay, we are going to open the hearing for 8 Bernier Lane. Apologize for being late here. We've got sidetracked a little bit for the applicants. We have a septic system repair. This is a continued hearing from earlier this month. We have an applicant, Wendy Hanson of Taunton Street, Plainville, and the representative Adam Hunt from Level Design Group. Adam, you're online. Is anybody else for you? I see some names, but I don't recognize them online.
I don't know who else is here.
Okay. All right, so you don't have, you're not waiting for Wendy? to
Nope.
have- Okay,
Nope.
so if you're the only rep, I appreciate your patience on this.
No problem.
And why don't you go ahead and tell us what you've done between the last meeting and now, so that we're up to speed on the current situation as far as you see it, and then we'll see if we have any additional questions.
Since we last met, I've just got some examples of approved plans with bottomless sand filters in the Advantech system. I emailed those to Tim. We've got the DEP file number, which I think I may have actually had for the last meeting. I just didn't have the document yet. And yeah, that was pretty much it.
Okay, so yeah, I think that those were the three of the things that we had asked for were references of others projects, which I saw and looked through. The specs and particularly the main.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the manufacturer specification. Sorry, I did send those to Tim as well.
Right, and the maintenance plan was part of that too, and I read through that quickly. And then we have the DEP number, which you got, and we have on file, so that's good. Before I have asked any questions, anybody have a chance to review some or all that information, and do you have questions for it? Adam?
I received it. I have not had a chance to review it.
Okay, anybody else? Neil, Maria? All right, let me ask a couple of questions. So Adam, I did glance through the operating and maintenance manual. I printed on one page because I was seeing how the system worked a little bit better than this. It's helpful. Basically, it takes the stuff in from the house, pumps it down in, pumps it up through a area that lets the liquids come back down through, creating a floating scum layer, a bottom sludge layer, and a relatively clear layer of liquid effluent in the middle. And then you drill the liquid effluent through a biotube filter and send it to a pod, which basically is a bunch of synthetic textile media, which microorganisms live in, and they help remove the impurities. So that's all seems okay. And then the liquid then goes off into, in this case, the not bottomless, but not bottomed, I guess is a better way of saying it. It doesn't have a bottom on it, sand trench, leach field. It talks about other methods of, which I'm thankful they are doing. It sometimes can be discharged right out into a drain field, an underground drip system, a constructed wetland, or an effluent sewer system or a reuse system, because they're claiming it gets it cleaner, it can treat wastewater better than what municipal water plants provide. This is their sales pitch from O&M. Anyway, I recognize by glancing through this that there's quite a bit of servicing that needs to be done, and this is not homeowners maintenance. This is stuff that somebody's qualified us to do. They're requiring to maintain the warranty on these 6 month, 1 year, and then after that annual maintenance service visits 4 times in the first 2 years, and then annually after that. Periodic pumping of the sludge and the scum layers in the tank, depending on when they hit certain levels. And that a tech must be there to clean the filters periodically as this media gets clogged up and needs to be kept clean to work. This is something that's more intense than most people. They call the septic company up and they come and just pump stuff out when
Right.
you have an issue. And this is a fairly intense project. I also looked at the references and there were 4 cited, although 1 was a repeat, it seemed to be. Franklin, Lakeville, and Marshfield, just for the board's references, were the 3 examples of similar, I don't know if they're identical, but similar systems. And I was.
One was an as-built.
Beg your pardon?
One was an as-built. I have.
Right, yeah, I realized that's why this is ratification for the Franklin one. So I focused on 2 things. One was how long ago were they done? And second was how far above groundwater, because we were looking for a 2-foot separation in our site at a burning. And the information is Franklin, it was done in December of 2021. It was a 1-foot clearance above groundwater there. There was a variance given. Lakeville, it was in January of 22, so it's really new. Below, it says below the HW elevation, which I assume means below the estimated high water level, which seems like, why would it be below it? How could it work? But I didn't see the details and I couldn't focus on much by that. And the last one in Marshfield was on November of 21. There was 3-foot clearance above groundwater. I know, again, Bernier is looking for a 2-foot. So they do have some that have been done. They're all relatively new, so we don't know how they're going to work in the long run, but they do seem to be looking at clearances that are in some cases below ours or a bit above for the separation. So those were issues that we discussed in the last meeting. Those up. So I'm bringing up those things for people's information here, and if they have, that generates any additional questions.
Well, I mean,
Comment? Yeah.
With that O&M plan is gonna have to be part of the ongoing order of conditions.
So in Rhode Island, I've seen this a couple times and they record the O&M plan, or in some cases at the discretion of the Board of Health, they would record the O&M plan and a contract agreement with a service company in the registry of deeds.
This is the first time we've done this in this town, I think, with this type of system. And given this sensitive location right next to a large water body that's got a lot of people living around it already, potentially impacting it, I'm all for being conservative on what the requirements are, and more is better, I think, in this particular case.
I like the idea of reporting to the Board of Health on the annual maintenance schedule, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to record it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, this is gonna be part of the order. Oh, the O&M plan's gonna be part of the order.
So while Tina's recording this, are you good with any notations you want to make, Hannah, for the order of conditions, things that we're going to want to have in this order of conditions? Because it is a septic repair, so we, again, do want to move things forward, Adam, don't get me wrong, but we do want to make sure that what we write up is clear to both the applicant and future owners of the property too, because it does need to be a continuing maintenance issue, so it doesn't become an environmental / Concom issue down the road.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
the filter pod is not located on the plan. I'm not finding it.
Yeah. Adam, do you have the plans readily there? Can you locate the filter pod, Advantex pod? I'm not sure what was shown on the plan. I don't remember.
This is that circle.
We'll see in a second.
No, it's there, it's behind the shed.
Yeah.
Or it says Advantix AX20,
That's
berry unit covered its surface.
We're looking
When
at
it-
something online on somebody's laptop. If you have something there, you can call up Adam. We can try to share the screen with you real quickly.
Sure.
Pam, if you would give him that access, please.
He's all set with access.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. I don't know why it's not letting me zoom in for some reason. Okay,
Yeah.
so sorry, what was the question? I had the plan up.
I was looking to see if the filter pod is located on the drawings. I could not find it. I have since, assuming the notation that says Advantex AX20 bury unit with covered surface on the north side of the shed is the filter pod. I'm looking at your,
Yes, sorry, I have the, I don't have the details. Let me open up
the
the.
top shed, not the bottom shed. I'm referencing north as in relationship to the drawing. May not be true.
Let me just open up these septic. I know it's the same plan, but I just wanted to have be able to reference the details.
Yeah, see, we don't have those, or unless they're in the new set.
Has this set of plans been revised, Adam, that we're seeing here?
The septic, well, this is the septic plan.
Oh, yeah, are you talking about the septic plan or the
Septic
septic
plan hasn't, but the original plan, when we asked them to, yeah, that was updated, we have that. We have that, yes.
This is what we're saying.
This is the septic. plan.
Yeah, no, but he just had one with the plot plan.
Yeah, that would be, right, he must have grabbed the other one, but we have one that shows,
Okay.
the erosion control goes right to the dwelling.
So Adam, is the filter chamber, is that the one that's shown adjacent to the existing shed on the top of the plan?
Well, there's
No,
the system
correct.
itself is that rectangle,
Right.
the chamber.
No, right adjacent to the shed, above the shed on the top. Go back to that other plan.
You gotta go to the site plan.
Right, so the site plan.
Yeah, it's.
The other one.
Well, this is, does it show anything different?
Yeah, it's a little clearer now.
And here.
Yeah, so the shed, right by your mouse.
Yep.
I think that's your mouse. At the top of the plan, the shed, the little box above the shed,
Yep,
that's the
That's
filter
it.
box.
Yep.
Okay. Just trying to make that clear. Thank you.
So that's where they'll go in and do maintenance.
Correct. That's where all this fancy stuff was.
Secret agent and then.
Yeah, they warned you not to go into it right on the O and M plans because you could faint and die, basically drown. I'm like, okay, that's sticking your head in there. I understand that's an occupational hazard for people.
If you fell in, you would wish for the sweet embrace of death.
Okay, so, thanks for that question, yes. Okay. Right, okay, I might have known, but Steve just mentioned that we have received the straw wattles now being shown on the revised plan, both around the temporary storage area for materials, as well as a separate along the property lines, then over a meeting at the house to prevent any downflow towards the Lake Hiawatha, which is good.
We do have the order of conditions prepared, but we would have to add the extra language to a couple of conditions for the O and M plan.
Yeah, O&M plan and reporting to Board of Health, copying us as well.
Right.
Are we clear enough on those, Hannah, that you could draft that up if we sign off and then we can arrange signing?
We would just have to adjust
Yes.
the conditions.
Yeah.
So we wrote it before we propose this, given us a septic repair and issue the order, which we would then have to sign, that people sign based on which we'll just reiterate those conditions to make sure that things are tied in that area, and Danielle mentioned and others that be recorded on the order of conditions for permanent record going forward for the maintenance.
And annually, you would like that on the,
Whatever the schedule.
Recommendation.
That's for manufacturer's recommendation.
Recommendation.
Right, which are, yeah, four times in the first 2 years and then annually after that. No, along with.
Well, they're gonna have to drop an O&M plan that references all
Yeah,
those things.
as per the O&M
Not
plan,
just the brochure.
This is not by the homeowner. This is by a certified company.
it's pretty clear from doing this that they would void the warranty if you don't use, in this, what I read, the O&M. from Advantex. It basically says.
Well,
if
we
you-
put in
Yeah.
by a licensed contractor.
Yeah.
Or whatever language we.
How
should
long can
use.
we ask Adam if he's involved in some of the older ones that were installed, if they've gone back?
All by all, it's like 2 years is the oldest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, have we heard of any problems with these references? Did you hear anything when you got them, Adam, for the previous locations? Franklin, Wittensville, and or the Mansfield, Marshfield, Lakeville, and Franklin?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Any problems with the references that you gave us as far as any issues with them?
No, all functioning well as far as I understand it.
And is it definitely going to be the Advantex? We could then just reference the Advantex owned and manufacturer's manual must be.
Yes.
Applied to it.
Yes.
Okay.
It will.
Along with all requirements for cleanings, schedules, and methods.
We're gonna want a copy of that included as an addendum to the. board.
Right. It's a pretty complete document.
But we need it.
Yeah, right.
We need it in there.
So you have a question?
I have
That
one.
document needs to be attached to the order.
Okay,
The O and M.
Steve,
It gets recorded,
the O and M document.
so it gets reported
Yes.
properly.
Okay.
Steve, go ahead.
We'll make it a condition to it.
The filter pod has a vent. How intrusive is that,
The vent itself?
or the odors coming from it?
Well, so.
It's a very tight community there.
Yeah. Most septic systems are vented now.
Yeah, they've all got the candy
They
cane.
all have that 4-inch vent. It's a charcoal filter in it, and that,
But that's coming out of the leach field, not out of the filter tank.
yeah, so that would have a charcoal filter too. It wouldn't be letting out odors directly out septic odor. I'm sure it's a charcoal. Adam, can you comment on that? The filter on this system, is that a charcoal filter that, so it doesn't emit odor?
I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I would have to get back to you on that. As I said before, I didn't do the
can't
design,
imagine
and
these-
that
some of these
specific
systems-
detail I'm not sure about.
So there was a detail with the filter, I just saw, but it moved.
You may see this. Type to see how it works, but.
Oh,
So there it looks like.
so I do see a 2-inch diameter vent on the detail, but
That's what maybe that's.
yeah, that's what you're referring to. Okay, okay.
Did not make many.
Yeah, I just don't see any, where he calls it on the plan. Yeah, sorry, that's the only reference I see.
It is odd. So, well, it's a good point, and if I live in there, I want to know. Even if the answer is no, there's nothing on it for filters and it's just venting fumes. That's not something I think we have any purview on. Fumes
I'm
will,
sure.
fumes will pollute noses, but not the water bodies. And
Yeah,
they're very regular.
I'm sure it's a charcoal filter anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. It to be designed in close quarters and tight locations. I don't know where there's other sites were in Franklin and others. Okay, so, I will entertain a motion, and Hannah, tell me if we've got all the details you think you need for the order of conditions that we approve and create an order of conditions to be signed as soon as the additional modifications to the order of conditions, which was drafted up but not ready quite yet, are done for signature at the soonest opportunity so the applicant can move forward for the project at 8 Bernier Lane, which is a septic system repair, and that will include in the order of conditions an attachment for the operating and maintenance manual for the Advantex system that's proposed in the plan for installation, and the usual notations for order conditions like the siltation barrier. Adam, you need to notify Hannah when your siltation barrier erosion control is in place for both locations and along the property line over the house and in the fill area, loose, whatever you call it, transient material area. And then she can check that out, and then you can go ahead, and then when everything is done and this project's ready for final review and inspection, she can let her know that too, and then Or that'd be great.
Is that all the language of the motion?
No, we didn't talk about we talked about what's being added. I'm talking motion, but you wanted to make sure that you.
I'm just curious.
Anything else? like this?
You're entertaining a motion then, I know what.
No, the usual, I just mentioned that the usual things will be in there, because you usually mention erosion control. So, anything else? Okay, so I will accept that motion. If anyone wants to make it, just say. Pass.
So moved.
Seven, there you go, thank you. Steve, and a second,
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimous. All right, Adam, so we're gonna do our thing on our end, draw up the order of conditions, finish tweaking the order of conditions, get everything in place. Hannah will let you know when that's ready, and then you can come down after we have had a chance to sign it, which will be the next available
Do you
opportunity.
want to sign it now? It's here now. She can send out the order of conditions for everyone to view if you want. Do you want to sign it and then let her know when she can release it? So they can get going?
Well, if you're modifying the actual document, where are you gonna insert the stuff that isn't? Is
So-
another page gonna go
Well,
on?
it's gonna
Yeah,
have to be
it's
an
a separate
addendum.
page.
It's gonna have to be addendum to the, what
Special
needs to be recorded, right?
Adam, how soon are they ready to go ahead with this work?
I am not sure. I would assume as soon as possible.
They have a contractor lined up, ready to do it, or scheduled to do it as soon as, within, I mean, a week or month?
I'll have to talk to Wendy to find out,
I don't have a
to see what the timeline
vendor
is.
lined up. I don't mind waiting a week. I'm not saying about continuing to the next meeting, but as opposed to signing something that's not completed document wise, I kind of don't like that precedent, having not everything together for us to sign.
Agreed.
Have another meeting to issue it, or can we just?
No, I think it's come by, sign it like we do other things that have been approved.
Yeah, it's all approved.
Yeah,
So-
so,
We're voting to approve it. If it's approved, then we can sign it at the next opportunity, whatever people can get. Yes, we're voting to approve the motion. Yeah, no, yes, we did right. You're right. Now it's a matter of scheduling.
motion's been made and seconded, now we're.
I said all in favor.
Yes, we did, we
Unanimous.
already approved it.
So, just to be clear, I'm trying to be clear on the timing for Adam, so he doesn't come down, anticipate coming down tomorrow or something and it's not even done. I was asked a question, and I'll ask Tim this, and if you know the answer, great, if you don't. But Hannah, it's a good point. Can we sign electronically with DocuSign or something like that? So Hannah sent this out electronically to us as an option for us to have you physically come in.
What are the conditions on
it?
I don't think it's, yeah,
The registry would never go for that, I
Yeah.
don't think. They don't even like copies.
I don't have to record that.
I don't, I'm just throwing it out there because a lot of companies and organizations use it, but I don't want to.
Maybe
Even if it was the original signature that you had scanned in, they're about that. Wow.
Okay, we'll continue to investigate that. We won't offer that for this particular option, so you all need to be able to tell Hannah when you think you can stop by. I'm gonna try to pick a specific time. She's not like Ann, sitting here all the time. She lives in Quincy, so getting her on a Saturday is not gonna be probably an option unless we're doing a sidewalk and she's coming on it, so. What's the soonest, I'll just go around. No, what's the soonest you can stop by? We need to have at least 4 signatures on this.
Monday, Tuesday, afternoon.
Okay, so,
Cause
and,
I'm in office Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
yeah,
so-
Tuesday and Thursday she's working, or Tuesday and Friday, because Friday's a short day anyway. She's working remotely for now.
You're in the office on Monday?
Yep.
Until what time?
4:30.
Or you're here Tuesday, right?
No,
No.
Tuesday and Friday she's working from home.
Okay,
So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Any of those days work for you?
I can. Wednesday. I can come in Wednesday.
No, so, okay.
Yeah, unless they're about to offer Tim's, who's in Crackadillan, right? Or what-
Yeah, the signature sheet is completed if you want to sign it now. And she can release it after you let her know, unless you guys all want to go separately, that's up to you.
No, my hesitation to want to do that is the document's not all together. It's got stuff that's gonna have to be added, there's an addendum, and to sign a sheet for something that basically we're saying it can be released, even though it wouldn't be released yet. I think I'd rather, but I don't want us to postpone it to another meeting,
Yeah.
continue it just to see the thing in front of us, which we've approved everything for, and then only to be there to say we signed it. So if we get, people, 4 of the 5 of us to sign it, I think that's good. I thought you were offering an earlier window or something.
Oh, you can come, I can have it upstairs.
You can have it in
I can have
his
it
office,
upstairs,
too.
I'm here,
Option.
I'm here at 7 every day, so. If someone wants to come early, it's up to you.
If mornings work for somebody early, take us here at 7.
When it's completed, she can send an email out, and, if it helps you guys, you can definitely come to inspectional service, just come in, and there'll be enough folder and,
That would work.
Somebody will be able to
Yes.
direct us to it and sign it.
it'll be right inside the counter.
Reach out again. Okay, so.
Yeah, you just ask them and it'll be.
Jump on the counter.
So we're
I can work
anticipating,
tomorrow,
all right,
but maybe they'll be ready
No,
by-
it won't be ready tomorrow.
so
They'll have it.
given tomorrow's Thursday and you're off on Friday and on site to get this done, we're talking about Monday at the likely earliest.
I have a laptop,
Well, yeah, but
I can send it, you could print it. She'll be okay, I'll make it happen,
What-
Monday for sure, it will be done.
okay. Figure sometime starting Monday, just on the same side, it gives them a little more window. Adam, sorry, we're just trying to figure things out here. Probably sometime after Monday, we're gonna start doing signatures. We anticipate, I'm hoping, given the flexibility we're just seeing here, maybe that within a day or so of that, it'll be signed and you could make arrangements to come by and pick up and file.
Okay.
File with,
It'll probably be the following Tuesday because I'm on vacation next week, but I'll come pick it up as
She'll
okay, okay.
let him
soon as
know.
possible after that.
Hannah will let you know, or check with her if you're not sure if it's ready yet, before you come down, but yeah. Yeah. That's the final registry of deeds? That's absolutely. At one, before the service. Oh, yeah. And then you obviously have to do your filing with the registry as,
And send us back a recorded copy, please.
Okay,
okay. All right, good. Thank you. Anything else?
thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we need to jump back and do the rest of the continuations that we have here first. Bear with me, we have done. I don't know, we didn't do it. Oh, okay, so in the packets, I'm gonna go back up to the 7 o'clock hearing, 455 Hartford Ave continuation request for the commercial building stormwater management system. Open that for discussion / a continuation. There are no applicants online for that project, correct? University Casio or well narrow. Okay.
Did you ask?
It doesn't matter. If anybody online is here for a hearing that they don't hear anything about, please speak up, or they're questioning when it might be heard. Because as far as we know, everything else is being continued for hearings tonight. So if any of the unknown people who are online care to unmute, identify themselves and speak forward, feel free. If you're just observing, thank you for observing. And we won't ask anymore. Okay, so 455 Hartford Ave, the Dropbox that you sent us, the 455 Rosewood. Just an FYI, I looked at it, that was the septic system approval for Rosewood years ago that we did.
Okay,
Not 455, which is right next to it, so it's confusing. I don't know if Rosewood's actual address is 455, but when I opened it, I said, Rosewood, why is Rosewood there? But, so,
Yeah, I don't know.
it doesn't really matter because we're not doing anything with that, because in case anybody opens the Dropbox at some point in time in the near future for this.
Rosewood's 445.
Oh, maybe,
Maybe I.
okay,
Okay.
I mean, they're kind of related.
yeah, okay, so we got a request on the 17th, so a week ago roughly, to continue this, and the reason given was they still have to planning board stuff, correct?
Are we talking about 455?
455, not 440.
Yeah. Some issues.
And I think that you're gonna potentially, I've heard rumors from planning board that they're gonna be doing some serious
They may withdraw.
potentially withdrawing because they have been advised that they can't meet the detention base
Separation.
separation and that they won't be able to comply with putting it where they were proposed in the height and elevation. So we have a motion to continue. It may be withdrawn, but since we don't know that, I'm amenable to moving it to the 13th and seeing what happens. Not that we anticipate there'll be much, so I don't anticipate a lot of. And I don't think there's any funding peer review money, so we're not gonna entertain a big meeting discussion and review of stuff if site visits or anything are required for revised plans. So I'll take a motion for this, continue this to the 13th at.
We're at 25, that's the previous one.
But yeah, but that was gonna be one that's Bernier, right? Bernier, 725
No,
was, what did we move to 725?
Riverboat.
Fruit burning.
Yeah, oh, that's right, sorry,
Yeah, it's Riverboat.
railroad, zero, thank you, yeah, snap, which is gonna. Probably not, be good. That's just, is that just that's just approving railroad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just bordering.
If they're,
They're gonna public peer review.
yeah, hopefully they do it prior and he does his review. and comes to the meeting, maybe.
But no, we don't, they haven't even gotten the money approved.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they work it out, you'll probably maybe hear it again and then continue it to the next one.
I don't think they're gonna be ready in the 13th.
Probably not.
Right, not to do more
I
than
don't
probably
think so.
continue the next meeting. Okay, so we'll keep it short for that. We'll give them 10 minutes. And so 7:25, we're now at 7:35, so we'll move to continue 455 Hartford Ave to 7:35 PM on the 13th, if I can get a motion.
So moved.
Second, Neil, thank you. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, thank you, unanimous. Okay. Dunbarton, Blackstone, by the way, you might want to add an E in the next. Blackstone, Mr. Tim, I know you want to cut it short,
Are you
but
blaming me on that?
somebody will look at that from Blackstone. Okay, they've requested continuation as well. Did they have a reason or a timing for theirs? I know they're still talking to planning, they're still tweaking plans, the scope is being reduced, my understanding is.
Yeah, they haven't been able to check the water pressure that's needed there, so they're working on that with DPW, so they couldn't get their stuff.
Sprinklers?
Yes.
So we will be looking at a completely revised site plan and potentially, even if the detention basins are not dramatically being moved, at least to double check that, so we're not. They have to come back to us with something, okay, so we're gonna need to allow them a few minutes of time, I don't know if they'll even be ready by the next meeting. We have any?
No, they're on
No,
for the
they
27th.
want
They've
the
requested the 27th.
Oh, they did, I didn't have that, I just had.
It's right there. It's on the agenda.
I wrote it right in the date under the date.
You must have an earlier agenda.
I haven't really done, I didn't have the right one here for me, sorry, yes, you did have it on there, yes, that's. I have my note, this one's already done, you provided this right here, I just was looking at mine, I don't know what my notes on mine. Okay, so we have a request to continue to the 27th, do we have anything else on the agenda for the 27th at this point in time?
Oh, no.
Okay, let's put them up front, call it 7 o'clock
I have to look at many.
at this point in time. They may not have much for us at that point, or.
Jim, how are they doing through the planning board? Still feisty?
Blackstone and North.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been going back and forth. I don't know if they've actually come to a final count of units even. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I've
They
heard,
settled that.
I've heard scope scaled down, but I haven't heard how many
Yeah.
even.
I don't know. So, look, if they don't have the number of buildings,
What are we reviewing?
that's exactly right. So that's probably why they don't want to come in front of us. They haven't,
Right, if the whole basic plan is still in flux,
Right.
we're,
Premature.
yeah,
yeah. So they want to get this stuff pretty much solidified before they come back in.
right, they're gonna have the building location, the number of building location roads, all those, then they're gonna have to redo their drainage calculations, because it's probably gonna shrink the impervious surface.
7 AM?
7 AM, you can be here at 7 AM, I'm not coming, so.
Yeah.
I'll be here at 7 PM, yes, I would entertain a motion to continue Blackstone North Streets. 12 unit or whatever, it does be townhouse buildings, at, the 27th of September at 7 PM.
So moved.
Thanks, Marianne, second, all discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimous, thank you. Last one, 217 Hartford Avenue. Have requested a continuation as of today, I believe, 9/13 to the 13th. Due to needs to do stuff on their end with planning or whatever, their plans, it's not.
We're looking at probably 7:45.
Do they have,
Yeah.
there's a meeting coming up this morning?
They did go in front of planning, but I thought they wanted to get a workshop in,
Yes.
so.
They were hoping, we had agreed to a one-time, just to remind you, we had agreed to a one-time trial workshop with Matt Byrne.
They haven't got
The problem with that is that I've just discovered today that I think, correct, we're still waiting for verification financial wise, that there is no money left in the peer review. The last amount, $1,200 or so forth was spent. So the applicant needs to be informed of this, and we need to find out if they're willing to continue funding peer review, which given how much they spend on project, I doubt that's a problem. It's more how we can get Matt Burns and BSC on the environmental side to come up with a figure based on an unknown amount of meetings and site visits and so forth. At least something that will carry us along for a while.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
so,
yeah, BSC's gotta put together some sort of scope and send that to the applicants.
right, and I was also told that the full set of site plans that I requested a couple copies of have not arrived. I'm sure they're on their way. Maybe about 2 weeks. I figured it's not like they would be here the next day. I kind of was looking forward to decorating my house. Anyway, so it's review money needs to be identified and verified that we have that in place, and we can work on doing that in the interim and getting that moved forward with BSC if the concrete is, that makes sense. And then see if Hannah will let us know if they have a problem with not wanting to do that for some reason. We'll take it up from there.
So do we think, well, they've requested the 13th, so.
It may be that the 13th, that even if money is approved, that they haven't had that.
They may need to
Moving
continue.
forward meeting, they're very likely to report. They always want to talk about stuff. It's a huge site. They can probably find other things they want to talk about on the site. We don't restrict it to just the last thing to talk about, but
So
I don't want to allocate an unlimited amount of time for this project to be talked about. So I'm open to suggestions.
Well,
We put them on at 7:45.
7:45, and we give them half an hour. Half an hour. Fine. If they have 15 minutes and only 15 minutes, we'll be happy to accept that, but given the size of the project, I don't think half an hour.
Let's give them a half an hour.
Well, we may have, if the members, by the way, have some points they want to forward to me to bring up at the next meeting, that's legit to do. You can't discuss it between now and the next meeting, really, offsite, at least more than one person at a time, or a period. You can't do it in serial order. But anyway, if you have any points you want to have raised and issues, concerns, obviously funding is a big one. But let me know, and I'm gonna try. I don't know if anybody else on the board will want to try this, but I keep telling myself I gotta check in on what the planning board has been doing with it, because we have had an issue at least once or twice in the recent past where members of the development team have stated that planning board has said, oh, they were fine with the law, or we're ready to do whatever, their concerns. And it turns out, because people on this side of the table knew from working with planning board that that was not the case, that was not being represented properly, but that were correctly by the applicant. So we need to reach out, and I'm going to continue to work with planning as much as I can with Amy and Jim and Cupper to try to make sure I hear what the pertinent points are that they've had in their planning board meetings. I don't get a chance to sit there and watch every one of them, but
General.
right, general project, right. But there are some out here. I'm just making the observation that planning board has been carrying on in parallel with us, and we'd like to try to keep that connection. So I'm working with all the members to try, as you're available, to review that stuff as much as you can. Okay, so we'll make motion to continue this 13th for 2217 Hartford Avenue, warehouse and other impacts will be more up there, for the 13th at 7:45 p.m.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Noel. Discussion. All right, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Unanimous?
So, Lou Petrosi requested to get on the agenda.
Yeah. Let me ask you a general question about that. We had discussed the last meeting that we shouldn't talk about this lawsuit or potential lawsuit and litigation unless we're in executive session. I couldn't find anything online about how you officially go to executive session. I thought it was as simple as, because the minutes say, and there's the minutes that we said we were going to find out about the scheduling of executive session. And I don't know that you have to schedule an executive session. I thought you could just go into.
You just
School
vote,
committee days,
you can vote to go in, and then you can come, you can vote to come back out.
Yeah, I
again.
think you would put it on the agenda, but just you go into it and shut everything down.
Yeah, I don't think you even have to have it put on the agenda unless it happens every meeting. So the school committee used to do it periodically, but I don't think it was on the agenda to go into executive session only in times that they were going to do that. There were times that something came up in the discussion, oh, this is confidential material, we can't discuss it in public, we have to go to the other session. They do that. They would say to people in the room, you had to actually exit the room if there were people observing, and then we'll have you come back in when we're done, and it could be 10 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, whatever, and then they'd let people back in the room, continue the meeting in public format. I don't know that that would be different from us, but I wanted to get a sense at least from anybody that has.
There are
any-
specific reasons we can go into executive session.
Legal is
And
one.
legal is one.
Is there something you want to discuss
Well,
about it?
if you're gonna mention anything about it, that,
I'm not gonna discuss, he wants to come in to discuss the alternate project.
we also have this letter. I
Nothing to
haven't
do
read
with
it.
the other one, just so
Are we
you know.
allowed to like do that and all?
I
or-
think you are allowed to do it, but he's not talking about the other project. He's
What
talking,
other project?
he's talking about an alternative to what he is, what he presented to you and that.
Well, what you told
You
me.
mean, you
happened
mean
to
what
the-
we were asking him for?
No, okay, so let me back up. Steve, Tim and I had a
Whole
discussion,
other
which I
design.
believe is a not private matter because it happened in an open town meeting of department heads recently. Lou Petrosi came in and presented an alternative plan for a lot that he recently purchased, which is behind the current lot that we were in discussions with them about off Prospect Street. It's closer towards Silver Lake. It's a large lot, 30-something acres, potentially 100 and something townhouses. It was a conceptual plan, just talking over the department heads, informational kind of thing, which I guess does happen from time to time with developers. I didn't aware of that, but anyway, it wasn't a meeting about that approval or anything wasn't being sought. There are a lot of hurdles, apparently with this letter, which I think all just, am I the only one that got a copy of this letter?
No, everybody.
Okay, it's a chair, I don't know, I didn't see it. So I don't know if anybody's read this, but it says that the commission's undergone some changes to the members of the commission. In addition, Wall Street, the developer of this Prospect Street project, will be introducing a new multi-unit development concept for the property in coming weeks. Given the introduction of these new circumstances, it might be helpful for the process, this is what Tim was just referring to, for both the commission and Wall Street to engage in an informal discussion regarding the previously issued denial of the order and new project. For this reason, we appreciate if the commission would schedule this matter for an informal discussion at its next meeting of August 23rd or a subsequent commission meeting. Well, when I was made aware that from Tim that Lou had requested some sort of informal discussion, I told him a week or so ago, I'm not gonna do anything until we have advice from town council. And I still intend to stick to that. And I haven't heard anything from town council. I want to get their advice on
Nice second.
what we should or shouldn't say. I'm just signing off on that, but getting input from you all. And whether he's talking about another project or another project that will also impact and revise what he had been proposing and talking about, how that would affect the issue and the reason that we denied the project, the crossing for refusing to fund
That
peer
letter
review.
is pretty squarely about this same project. I don't know if that's an help.
I didn't see
he
that.
was talking
That
about.
was still, I didn't see that.
Well, am I,
He
okay,
just
my
came
question
in.
is, am I,
He came
the one that got this, did nobody have this letter on the desk? Well, there was a second one, which was just to me also,
Yeah,
which
no,
was
that
about
was about the solar.
solar panel project on Maple Street that I had not heard about.
That was the only letter we
Okay,
got. for that.
so this letter was just to
And that
me
was
that
not
I wasn't sure. if everyone gets it.
So in that letter, he's requesting that you have conversation about the pending.
Right, and there.
And, no, and.
Both, I didn't read the first, right, I didn't read the first paragraph, which says, as you know, Bellingham Conservation Commission issued an order of conditions dated blah, blah, blah. This is what I'm hesitant to talk about this in an open meeting because there may be some legal implications, even what I'm reading off here, so I don't really want to go into it unless we either go into executive session. Well, no, I didn't read, but in essence, anyway, so we have a request to have a discussion. I'm telling people right now that we can either go into executive meeting session and talk about it some more in depth if you want to, or just wait until we hear from legal counsel and we can bring it up at the next meeting. But we have a request from someone, which was made publicly to Tim, or privately to Tim, but
To get on the agenda.
to get on the agenda.
For a different reason.
Well,
It wasn't,
no, they're tied together.
it wasn't that, no, it didn't say that, was you just read.
Right, this Wall Street is different than what Lou said. Lou is part of Wall Street, Wall Street's part of Lou, I think. So,
My personal opinion would be,
Well,
Any-
hold on. About the letter or about going into executive session to discuss?
I think, let me just say one.
Because I don't think we should discuss anything.
yeah,
I, that, in agreement with that, what I was going to say, my personal opinion would be any conversation about the case should be executive session,
okay,
period.
I agree with that, okay.
And I'll go one further with that. I think you're right. I think you should have a conversation with Amy Questle and ask her how to move forward with this as far as what that letter's suggesting. That's all.
A one-off event tonight shouldn't be a big issue.
What?
The one-off event into executive session, if we were a little off track here or there, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
We can sort it out next time.
I kind of think I want to just see if there's any other paperwork or items or issues that we can resolve and as part of the regular meeting before we do that.
Now, does Beth say if we're in executive session?
Nobody stays.
Just us chickens.
That's why I want to do it at the end of the meeting, so we can, so I want to do that at the end now and then say if we're gonna close the meeting, then IT doesn't have to.
You know, everybody can go.
Before we do that,
Yes,
I have some notes from regarding the WS from the planning board meeting. If you wanted me to hit the highlights,
from the most recent planning board meeting,
yes,
Certainly.
it was predominantly Austin, with Bowler, Jeff and Ron. The board had the drawings, a lot of it had to do with the driveway and Route 126 changes, probably the bulk of it.
Okay.
Austin did say that Concom, and they were moving the dial, and going to be meeting with peer review.
Sounds like it's.
The test pit data was requested by us. Brian did from, planning board, did make the comment that fundamentally the project was not a good idea.
yeah.
Cause he didn't get that call from Mike Soder.
right.
But probably 90% of the conversation was the driveway
Access
change.
roadway, yeah.
How about the new business and old business?
Oh, we're gonna cover those, yeah, okay, all right, I just want to make sure Steve was done, and, because we did ask him to share that, okay, thanks, Steve, that's helpful to know, and a good encapsulation. All right, under new business, we have Hannah, we'd like to introduce you to the board and the general public, sorry, we got so sidetracked. We hope that won't continue, but welcome on board officially, I know you nodded heads to people, at least you have a list of everybody, we have your contact information, or everybody to reach out,
Yep.
Hannah, as you get a chance. she's
I have
happy-
an email.
Yeah, happy to hear. We discussed the fact that I came down today and was chatting about things, and I said, oh, I realized that 8 Bernier Lane, we said in the minutes that we were gonna do an order of conditions and have it ready for this meeting. I just realized that Cliff and Ann used to do those together, and you've been off site, out of town until today, and we probably don't have an order of conditions ready. So we discussed, I sent her some samples of previous ones, they're very much the same, except for a few things like erosion control in this area, or do something specific, but 8 or 10 of the 12 points or so are always pretty much the same. So that helps to move that along. But if you come up with other things that you think Hannah would know, or she wants to know, I told her, reach out to me anytime pretty much. And
No, I'd say, you know, any cruising back through Ann's previous orders would be just a wealth of information. She had it down to a science, and, they were very tight. And,
I encourage you to
very
go
well
next
written,
door
so.
to the next room over down in her area. Planning board, Amy's a wealth of information too. Amy used to do what Tina's doing for us so well now. I think she used to do minutes and so forth, and she worked closely with Ann for however many years, and she's been down there for many. And so the level of conversation that she was able to keep and information sharing, and so we're on the same page with planning, which is critical for successfully moving projects through. Is gonna hopefully continue with Hannah, and so welcome aboard. And we'll try to remember not to look for you here if we come on site on Tuesdays and Fridays. But you are reachable, that's good. Minor technical thing, the directory for the town for Conservation Commission still lists Stryan North and does not list Steve. So the in-house information that we exchanged, which Tim provided, we all got, yes, that has your corrected phone numbers and email addresses and stuff. No, that's the right one. I was being lying for a while. However, the town directory still does list,
The town director.
town directory, no, Bellingham, MA, it says directory, you click on that, and every board, every commission, every administrator. So we should take Brian off, put Steve on. The phone numbers on those, a lot of local numbers, don't look like home numbers. If you want to check the directory and verify that the number on that directory is what you want to continue to be posted.
Yes.
No, well, they all, every committee, every person on that directory has a phone number of some sort listed. I would love to be the exception not to have that, but I don't know if it's a town requirement or it's just a precedent that's always been there. But I want to make sure that if you provide a phone number or if the one is listed on there, that it's now is a good time to change it. This is what I knew I printed out. This is what's on conservation commission. You're not on this, Steve, but if you want to write something in, So I don't know who to even ask to change the directory. You can ask Pam. Pam,
It has a fax number for us.
hello Pam.
Yep, I'm here.
The town directory, who maintains that on the website?
Larry does.
Larry. Okay, so if we want to send an email to Larry and ask him to update that with the correct members, because there's one that's not there anymore and one that is here now but is not listed. We can do that.
Sorry,
through
Pam, I
Larry.
jumped in on top of you.
Beg your
Oh,
pardon?
thank you, Beth.
That was me. I jumped in before Pam. But yes,
Okay,
it is Larry that maintains that.
okay.
We'll reach out to Larry.
All right, we'll reach out to Larry. It's a minor thing, but I think it's helpful. That may be the first place people go to reach Concom. I got a call at my house the other day for something which I forwarded on to Hannah and others. It was the first time somebody's called me at my house in many years for Concom stuff. So they
Yeah,
do look
it
at those
looks
numbers.
Right. You just check to the plan on now.
Are those the only two discrepancies on the town directory?
We're just noting, is the administrative position on there? The agent position?
No.
Okay, no, it's just commission members on the director. There's no.
Yeah, but there's no phone number for the conservation commission, there's only fax.
Okay,
Trevor's phone number on that piece of paper for me is not correct, and I just soon not have one.
Beth, you've been around town for a few years,
1 or 2 years, yes.
1 or 2 years. Can you tell
I
me,
don't know, it's probably at somebody's house.
can you tell me, Beth, is the directory required, is there a requirement that the town officials listed on the directory have a phone number there?
What if they just edit that?
It's recommended that you at least have the department phone number,
And we don't.
Okay, so we
but
will,
not your home number. You're not required to have your home number.
okay, all right. So we will add the Conservation Commission number, which may have been in Matthew's old number, whatever it is in the building here. And if anybody wants theirs on left on there, leave it, otherwise just put across the road.
Also, remember, you're going to have an administrative assistant, so she'll have the phone number. So you can put hers in there when we get her set up, so that
Okay.
they can put all the calls through her.
Okay, I'm just gonna circle this fax number for Conservation Commission, and if you could just put in whatever the right number is, it may be that they said fax, but it's not really a fax number.
Okay.
Fax is right. What do you want?
Do we have any filings from the eighties?
Filings, yes.
No, I did find things.
No, the fax number.
Oh, no, those, no.
Steve is added. Okay, all right, thank you for that minor administrative help. 186 Maple Street, invasive plant removal.
Don't listen.
Who's got some info on that? Because I know nothing about it.
Oh, this is a solar site,
Oh, yes. that's
Yeah.
The solar site.
the solar site, I think that's 186.
I'm
Maple
not positive.
It's not on this.
It's the
It's
new-
on the new business. It's already been done. Well, so Amy went and checked it out. They were wondering what they should do about their invasive plant species, Japanese knotweed. They
They found.
they proposed. I guess they're just asking us because there's nothing in the order of conditions. I looked.
It just says they're supposed to remove invasive species, but in the case of Japanese knotweed, for example, I thought either Hannah thought or somebody heard that you should remove that by hand, not mechanically, because you will spread it more than that. So whatever the proof method is, I think what we do is we just tell them that they have to find a qualified. I don't know, I want to say arborist, not arborist, whatever the landscaping term for somebody who deals with plants.
Botanist?
And yeah, right. The exterminator for invasive plants. Now, somebody who's qualified as a plant specialist, I'll say, for lack of a better word, to properly remove the various species, whether it's mechanical or by hand or some other method.
But they were planning to spray the leaves. That's what it was. To
Okay.
chemically, and I think that's why they wanted to bring it up
Other-
because of the chemical.
Well, yeah, that's a big problem because they're right next to a wetlands area, resource area, which is the area in front between the road and the fence that they have on the solar project is what we have jurisdiction on. And then the fence and beyond it. The other issue with, Amy pointed out to me some of these pictures, almost the entire length of the fence on the outside and the inside. Stuff is growing up. You just let it grow. They've come out to try to clean it up some because they want some sign off to the planning board, and Amy said, get it, it's a mess. They need to maintain that because there's a critter clearance underneath 6 inches, no critters get through there. And the plants are getting big enough, and some of them are the roaring tide, that they can push the fence. They've had a couple of spots where the fence is given out, and apparently plants have contributed to that somewhat in some areas. So they need to address a lot of that, and,
Shoddy installations.
that is a big part of it, but the warranty is voided if they don't get some sort of. I forget what, Amy mentioned something about the warranty too, they were concerned about.
Yeah.
They can't get it honored if they don't maintain it properly or something like that, and
This is the existing.
the big white vinyl fence that you see in front of me.
Yeah, the wind keeps taking it.
Yeah, so that was on that, I mean,
Wouldn't it be,
Because they.
oh, they was.
Worse than a
what
burn.
if they just took it down?
I don't know, we want to pick up for visual, and they would have something, a barrier of some sort, we don't want a chain link fence along there instead.
Why does it need
Create a
to be?
burn.
Because the solar arrays have to be fenced off.
I don't know.
They're
How
kept getting
active
into
is the
those stuff with them, it's a
I can't
liability
get out of
issue,
everything.
everything else. All the solar arrays around town are fenced in. It's almost like detention basin, it's a safety issue that they're fencing, but also. in
That was a
this case-
visual barrier.
That was visual, but it's also to keep people out, they have fence around the rest of the perimeter of
Yes,
the property.
but the final
The difference
fencing was
between a-
done as a visual barrier.
Right, the difference between a detention basin and requiring fencing for that with the critter clearance of it and solar is that the solar is a lot more valuable resource for the people that put it in than a detention basin, which, you know, has to be mowed or
And
whatever,
in theory, there's electricity and stuff and people could get it.
as opposed to maybe.
But it's all in conduit, so
Yeah, in theory, they put up the signs warning electrical, blah, blah, blah.
Anyway,
every
I think,
electric meter on a building is that way.
yeah, well, I'm not gonna debate it.
No, they're not.
They're not even till the private companies. Okay, so I think, was it just informational, Hannah, that this was brought up to us now tonight? We don't need to do anything, or are they looking for something?
They're just like looking for, like, advice, direction.
So since we're not writing up anything formal for them, my advice is, or my suggestion, and Laura can chime in, that we instruct or ask Hannah to respond to them via email or phone call, whichever she prefers, and tell them that we are looking for them to enlist the services of a qualified plant removal specialist to do it the appropriate way to not make the situation worse. And if they continue to maintain it, the fence is technically right near the barbs. I don't remember where the actual line was.
Is this thing off with the original order? Did you guys already sign this off?
That might be what they're trying to get signed up on. We're at the 3-year mark, I think, because the plantings for the trees along the front, in front of that fence on the little berm that they.
We'll have to look at,
Yeah,
dig up
look at-
dig up the
I think-
original CC.
I thought that we were in the 3rd year.
Yeah, we were.
We're in the 3rd year, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so they may be looking for that so they can get the sign off, and that's why planning board needs to put the question back in. If they
Well,
need,
planning board would push you back because they're not maintaining the front. They're supposed to cut it and it's overgrown. And that's why planning board got involved saying, hey, you know, you're supposed to be taking care of this. They're supposed to cut it twice a year, I think.
right, both for,
And they're not doing it.
right, for credit clearance for Concom, but also for appearance and for the fact that the fence was going.
And the fence was
going.
damaged.
Is this the one on Maple Street?
Yeah, yeah, it's right. Before you get to the wall.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Uh,
So, yeah, so, the other suggestion I had was if they can't find somebody, they don't know how to, maybe Matt Byrne can be a resource. They can email Matt and maybe he has some people that he knows that do that. Okay, South Main Street sidewalk change. I took a couple. What, Matt? I'm really. No, I mean, all he's using is a reference.
They can pick up the phone, yellow pages and. tell them.
Yeah, if they have nobody else, I would have called Matt up and myself if I needed a.
It's right next to the tax.
No,
No, the fact is probably.
Sitting on top of the
no,
other.
I mean, no, I would call Matt up for a contact.
It's different if you talk to Matt on behalf, or like to figure out what you're supposed to be telling this agency or telling this private company in a regulatory way than is for you to say, yeah, contact the peer review guy, who that to do the conflict thing.
Yeah, they should just call somebody.
Fine, you can delete the section about talk to Matt, just,
Also-
I don't want to advise them. I'm not qualified to, and I don't feel it's our need to do that. They're looking for free advice.
You to qualify.
Right, that's what they should do. Find a qualified professional and take care of it. And then if we are coming near the end of the 3-year period, we need to let them know that because we have to sign off on that.
Yeah, so,
And release the funds that were kept in.
if it's a 3-year period, did they put a bond up for Concom?
I believe there was something put up.
Oh, okay.
Usually
Again,
there is.
we'll have to check the
Okay,
original order.
Check and
It'll all be in the original, everything will be in the original order. And if it's not the original order, then it doesn't exist.
So I'm gonna show you a couple of good pictures here. This I do see about the reality
Not for
of
maintenance,
Or in,
that should have been included in the order.
Oh, so you want me to?
It's in the order of conditions, it's very vague. I remove
Yeah,
invasive
no.
plants. So on South Maple Street, just before you get to Wagner's coming north and the bus barn, on the right hand side going north, there is a guardrail that's been installed as part of the state resurfacing project on 126.
We'll see.
Okay, so you're coming up towards the high school, middle school. I think don't pictures you can pass along.
which way are we looking? We
But looking
south?
north, that's looking north. So the bus barn is just ahead of you on the right. And then this is the ditch itself and that's looking south on one
And
twenty-six.
this is the stream crossing.
And the
This is
street
the end of
crossing
the
there,
limit of work.
there's a culvert.
Yeah, this is the limit of work.
So the issue is the state put a guardrail
In between the street and sidewalk.
between the street and the sidewalk. They should have done on the other side. They aren't gonna undo it. Jesse from DPW, who's working with them, was contacted. He sent an email to us to see if we were okay with them putting a 4-foot high chain link fence that's about 10 feet, 12 feet long, just in the area you'll see there on the left as you're walking down the street. There's guardrail on the right, the street side, but there's nothing to keep you from falling into the culvert. So in that span across there, they wanted permission to put in some posts, probably in some sort of concrete set, so it stays. They don't have much room to work with. It's close to the top of the culvert there. But literally the road, until they didn't pave that one last section because there's nothing to stop it from going up. So they're gonna have to do some sort of edge on that side.
They're gonna make a cut out of the guardrail so people can get out or
No, it's
People
about,
just gonna
it's
have
about
to
20
jump.
feet long and
jump over.
you walk down the sidewalk to that section and then you get past it, and you're at somebody's driveway. So there's, we have pictures either way on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I took a look at it, I said to Hannah, I think it looked okay to me, but I let the board know. The state's not gonna change the guardrail location, we don't want people falling into the culvert. It's a minor thing, it's a chain link fence with a 4 or 5 posts, 4 feet high, it's not a long one, right, I think 10 or 12. Yeah, I just.
Well, we have to keep the alligators fed.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, I was shaking.
Can't, you don't get alligators in town?
No.
Yeah,
Right,
okay. Yeah.
All right, why don't you let that one handle the wall here? Okay,
Too late.
so under old business, I wanted to ask Steve
Oh,
two things.
Yeah.
We had some old signing of orders, certificates of compliance. Last time we were here, we didn't have the last piece of paper that they needed to sign up. They have them now for Lover
Oh,
Lane.
yeah.
7, 9, 14, and 16 Lover Lane. We can sign on those. Tim confirmed this. You have checked those sites. They are not erosion control issues.
That's right.
Everything that needed to be done, winter guard, rain guard signature.
There's also 80 elbow.
Right, there's an 80 elbow. I have 2 questions about that in the minutes from last meeting. We brought those up. It was stated 30 Farm Street had a failed septic, needed repair. Tim let everybody know that the area is seeded and erosion control is still in place. It hasn't been removed yet because they're putting poles along the edge one for badges to be installed. Have those badges been put up and
Not-
have,
Not, I don't think they have been yet. They were waiting for it to grow.
okay,
They didn't want to try.
so the erosion control is still in place?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so without the erosion control being removed, why would we go ahead and issue a certificate? of
Right, and they
compliance?
haven't installed the badges yet.
That's up to you.
Okay,
If that's
so.
not, if that's your process, then.
That's, having seen that, yeah, okay, so my recognition on that one is we not sign it, it's still here.
They
it's
may
ready
be
to
in
go.
now, but they will have to be checked.
Right, so until that's verified, we don't sign that one, is my sense, even though we've approved it, we don't have to sign it and issue it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one you're talking about, right?
ADL,
Okay.
I'm sorry, that was 30 Farm,
Oh, that's
80
pretty far.
80 elbows, the next one. That one says the erosion control is still in place to be removed shortly, has that been removed or still? in place?
Erosion control is not, I didn't want them to remove it because it's growing, but
Okay.
we're having these water storms, you
Okay,
know?
I'm not.
So they're looking for a sign up because they want to sell the house, but I asked them not to remove the erosion. control.
Yeah, and I'm not comfortable that because we don't do that usually.
No, but
No,
just, no, but we
temporarily.
asked them not to.
Yes.
Right,
The,
I asked them.
Tim asked them
right,
not to.
and, but I'm
It's in
saying
their
is-
yard. They want to get rid of, they want to take it out.
but we don't
You know?
usually issue a certificate of compliance unless the erosion control has been removed, because basically, and I was told this years ago by Ann, I think. We lose the control to be able to get them to do anything once you have issued that, 'cause
They
that's our last
never,
hope.
they never take it out.
So if there's a reason somebody wants to go ahead and approve that, I mean, not approve that, but sign that and give that to them. Speak up, otherwise my feeling is the same thing, we wait for a while, while they want it.
So they're trying to close on the house. I can tell them to remove, they wanted to remove it, and I asked them not to, so I can tell them to remove it. They wanted to.
Well, how much has it grown in, is it starting? to
Yeah,
take?
well, now it is. Yeah, that was
Okay.
2 weeks ago now.
Well,
So
2 weeks is.
it's a nice flat area, you know what I mean? It's not. It's a yard.
We have the potential for erosion if we take it out.
Right.
If we leave it in, they can't sell the house. and
It's only-
Tim asked them to leave it in.
It's only
Taking it
helping.
out, so it's on us.
Right, so that's why I'm asking the question, what do you want to do? I'm just pointing out because I want to make sure you all knew before we signed it, what the situation was.
What do you think our risk factor for erosion is at this point?
Nothing, probably not now. Before, you know, it was just starting to grow and turning green. Now it's probably all full now. So they probably want to get rid of that stuff.
So let's just have them pull it and then we'll sign it. We'll sign it.
What is-
and have them pull it.
What is the rest of
At
the?
some point, it'll be hard to remove if it's too grown.
It's a flat area. It's just a side yard.
It's just salt sock or what is it?
It's a silt sock, yeah.
Okay, what do you think, Aaron?
I would sign it today.
Okay, all right, so everybody's in agreement, we'll sign that and issue it, if you want to issue it like going down.
I'll just ask them to remove it and then after they,
We'll sign it.
I'll go down there. and look.
Yeah, we'll sign it
Go down there.
now. We'll sign it now. You will go down, it's removed, you
Okay.
hand it to them.
All right, good, all right, thank you, all right, so
I
that
don't
is,
know in advance they do it. You only do that.
that is that, last thing I had was if we want to go into executive session, and discuss the legal issue that we were starting to discuss here.
Oh, thing that-
Or if anybody has anything else they want to bring up, like, Marianne, go ahead.
So I was thinking about, something we talked about last meeting, sort of related to the times, like how we wanna,
Oh, the
Do things
scheduling
moving
meetings, hearings, yes, go ahead.
yeah. So the way that, like, I don't know, the way I personally think about things is by like location. And I feel like the way that the meetings are set up now is kind of by like what's going on today. And that's not really helpful for me, like, when I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, like, last on North Street, like, I don't, it's just like a list, so I started coming up with a sheet that was kind of like a little cheat sheet, like, just a checklist of all the wetland things. But obviously, I could really use help and input.
So does that affect how you think we should do the scheduling? I'm not sure I'm following you, that they're
I
just
don't think so. I
locations.
think it'd just be like a cheat sheet for like the
Oh.
project itself.
Oh, it's a more information thing. Yeah, I started with that list that I sent out to everybody. And yeah, please build on that. That was just a starting point. So we try not to lose things. And Hannah obviously will benefit from hearing about any projects that we can think of. Any input about them, you know, somebody wants to take her down and show her the favorite site that we still have debates about.
Marianne, this is just to identify the projects.
It's kind of just for like myself and anyone else who thinks the same way personally to like keep notes, like keep track of what's going on. in the
Like
project.
ongoing,
Yeah.
because they keep getting continued.
How
Yeah,
detailed,
several continued,
how
like, the
detailed are
minutes
your
of
notes,
most of the
Ariane?
project.
are they like, oh, this is what was discussed about this particular aspect of this project, and this is another phase of it, then we talked about this, or is it just, this is the project location and this is what's going on overall in the project, it's septic repairs.
Is it
and it's
because the
warehouses.
minutes don't come out soon enough too?
No, I don't think that's it. I think it's just multiple projects.
I think,
Just my brain is like.
Okay.
What I'm doing, Ariane, is I keep a folder of logs. And each job is its own log.
I was
Right
gonna
now,
do
I'm up
that,
to
started doing
18.
Running out of space. So,
You what?
started running out of space
Space where?
on my laptop.
Disk
Oh.
space.
I've got a 225 gigabyte flash drive that I'm keeping it on.
Just that, that was.
Last few
Well,
Just what?
last few months. I'm joking, but
It'll
it
last for a
does.
while.
feel like-
So my suggestion is, these are good because it sounds like there's different methods to keep track of stuff. Most of the members are fairly new, except for Neil, no, and me, somewhat. But if you have any suggestions of ways that we can help keep track of projects, I think maybe we should share that amongst each other. Either that's not discussing projects, it's just sharing information about how the information is captured. That's fine. I think share amongst.
No, like a checklist, you know, did we talk about erosion? Did we talk about this? Did we talk about, you know,
Yeah.
the major points that we talk about, make sure, you know, checkbox, yeah, okay, I've got issues about sediment, I've got issue about, you know, Mike's favorite, snow storage.
Recap.
I bet that Anne like had a checklist like in her. head.
She did,
She
yes.
utilized it.
And or on paper.
It's on the back of her eyelids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Closer, I
So-
bet that's all checklist.
So,
I think that would be key, but
Thank you.
organizationally, I keep folders with all the documents by job. And I keep a Word doc, that's the log for that job. And as you open it, you go through each of the different meeting dates.
well, the Dropbox is really helpful. That's sent out, like, for example, today's had probably 10 different hearing things or items on it. And you open the folder and within that, there's lots of things that have been submitted and stuck in that folder. The sorting thing, I have to talk to you about, or anybody else wants to, or maybe there's a quick tutorial.
Yeah.
This is how you do it differently. Tim sent us the Dropbox previous meeting. I don't know about anybody else, but I had problems forwarding it even to Neil because he hadn't gotten it at the right email address or whatever. it went into my own personal Dropbox with all my photos and stuff in here, and I'm trying to extract it, and I just don't deal with Dropbox that much, it's on me to not know it. There's probably a really easy way to pull it out, label it, send it off, but I tried a couple different ways, and it just was not working for me. So when I got this one from Hannah, I was like, okay, this one popped open like it had from Amy and from Ann and others in the past, or Tina,
Yeah.
whoever sent it. And yet I got into it and I realized I still have the same frustration, which has been all ongoing, which is you want to see the most current thing that might have been stuck in there, not something for a 4-year-old project that's down, and there's no way to sort it that way by date. The
One
modified dates are there, it's just you can't move them or rearrange them.
Yeah, can you sort by name?
No, it says it is sorted by name. I noticed that off to the side.
The one thing we can do is when we save them in there, is save them by the date that they arrive and do like
Yeah.
the year first, like 2023, 08, 23,
Okay,
and
well,
then the plan. So like,
if there's a way
I
to,
can't save.
yeah,
those,
if there's a way to do that and people can share
Wait
that.
for the
that'd be good.
mugshots.
Okay.
Not bad.
So, let's definitely.
I got the plot.
About.
We'll go by 36.
All my files, and we do this at work, is the format she just mentioned, it's 23-0823, because the second 4 will sort automatically. Like 23-0101, January 1st
Well,
will come
we've
first.
been around for a while, so we want to do 2023, otherwise we're gonna get those 96s and 97s at the top if we start uploading archives.
Okay, so you gotta go 19.
Does anyone ever use OneDrive? Because you can solve your problem with that. And I'm already set up with Microsoft completely here.
I use
Like my stuff-
Dropbox, not OneDrive. I
I
jettisoned
know.
OneDrive, they're too invasive.
Well, we're not gonna resolve this tonight, but I did want to bring it up because it sounds like there are some options to see that, so I won't claim more with that. Does anyone have any other new business or anything else that they want to bring up before we go into executive session to briefly discuss?
One last thing
Yeah.
on file naming. Can we pick a name and stick with it?
What do you mean?
Well, stuff was coming to me before, like WS Development, 217 Blackstone,
Oh,
and the warehouse were all the same job, and I started 3 different folders.
it's so hard for that, yeah.
Do the BWP numbers get recycled? Cause like, I know we're not only.
No, they don't.
Why don't we just do it by address, stick by address?
And Snack Trail and Zero Railroad are also the same project. Correct.
Can we start calling them the
But not
BWP numbers?
Zero Maple. Which is
Not Zero Maple.
Well, it's job number, I'll get used to it.
You get research number if you're trying to find out.
21106.
I think address is probably.
I think address, or address, whichever you want to say, it, is probably the most likely way to do it.
Well, and then you could put parentheses with the BWP number.
And for a point of information, when Zero Maple
On
Street,
the agendas?
Just in
Or
general.
any
No,
correspondence?
in the file.
stuff is sent to us.
Yeah.
That's important.
Like I said, we call it 3 different things.
Yeah,
It gets confusing.
well, I've only been here for a week and I've been just trying to figure out her whole file system. Lots of stuff. Not the way that
Don't be
maybe,
hesitant to put it in a digital format.
oh, I am talking about digital. It's so thorough. What you said is exactly what I was struggling with the past week and I'm trying to organize that. So maybe it'd be easier for you guys too.
There will be quirks to throw out. For example, Zero Maple Street, I asked why it was zeroed a couple meetings ago and I was told, well, that's because it hasn't been assigned a street number. That would change at some point in time. You'd go from being Zero Maple to being, maybe it's been space,
200.
whatever it is, but that could change on us. All right, anything else in the,
It'd be nice if we could be consistent with the assessor's address and plat and lot. I know a lot of them are subdivisions and change, but like, I feel like the, oh my god.
A lot of them
can
are
we,
getting, a
like-
lot of them are getting in before they exist,
can we,
like this
name,
Zero
like-
Maple Street. Zero Maple Street doesn't exist. It doesn't have an address. It's not on the assessor's map as an address,
Yeah.
but it's got.
if another project came up somewhere else along Maple Street, my question would be, and it didn't have an address because it hasn't been gotten that far along in the process, where would that also be 0 or 0A? Or
Well,
whatever?
again, if we use the address and then also reference the wetland filing number, then there's a double check right there. And if something changes, we can update them. We can all adapt.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
An address
Gabrielle.
change.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever we call it, let's just
Just call
only
it
call
that.
it that.
addressing address for now, the address and the BWP Bellingham Wetland Protection Number together on something would be good, and then if we
You
need to
want
modify,
both numbers?
not the DEP one, I don't think,
Oh, you
it's-
just want.
I think one is fine,
Address and the town number,
Okay,
the BWP one.
because again, like with these, we don't have a DP number on a lot of these.
that's true. Whereas I control the.
You
the
control
B.
the other
Yeah,
ones, so
okay.
they'll have that, and that'll stay constant through the whole thing.
That makes
So we can
sense.
always reference back to that.
Okay.
If you're doing it on a spreadsheet, you can have it in a separate column, and you can sort.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
If we go to access,
Yeah, the whole database.
Okay, anything else for the public venue? We didn't really talk about scheduling of meetings, we've been putting times on. My
Yeah.
recommendation is for now, we just continue to do that. Yeah, we can always change it and put everything at 7 o'clock.
I started doing some research on that, but I didn't come up with any.
So
concrete.
continue to think about it, percolate on, there's no rush.
Two comments,
Yeah, go ahead.
similar, planning board, everything was scheduled at 7.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that is unreasonable for some people. I did,
Applicants and so forth.
yeah,
Observers,
so I voiced that opinion.
Right.
The other thing planning board does, which I don't know why, I don't have an opinion on it, is when they do the ayes or the nays, they start, Noel, aye, Steve, aye, Neil, aye, Mike, aye. And that, they recorded the answer by name on the meeting.
Right, for
We
continue,
could do that if we're unanimous, but
we have done in the past, I know I've been part of the ayes, nays, and by name identified, and I think that the precedent has been. You know it. When it's a vote to decide something in a hearing, as opposed to continue to a different time, the same project, we're not doing anything but moving it to another meeting date, where I think just consensus. Without itemizing people, but I think it is important to do it by, and I think I'll try to remember that and help me remember.
The
it.
only reason we ever did it by person was when it was online and Cliff couldn't tell who was saying it.
Plus for the record, for Tina, or whoever's recording it, that.
But if it's unanimous, we know who's at the meet, who's present. Only if there's a dissent or a split vote would it be important to know.
yeah, and like I've recused myself from a meeting in the past, so it was in the minutes, it would say like. Your vote is
Abstained.
unanimous except for.
Same.
Right, if somebody abstains or is recused, then that's noted in the minutes as well. For unanimous stuff, and most of our stuff is unanimous anyway.
All right, anything else for the public before we go? Okay, so Beth and Pam, we're gonna go into executive session, we're gonna make a motion to do so. And then at that point in time, we're not gonna go back into public session, we're gonna exit the meeting, we're gonna discuss the legal issue that's come up. Do you all have any other questions or input? Are you good? Because we want to let you guys go if you're going to, so you can terminate the hearing.
Oh, I'm still working, so don't worry about me.
Home.
Working from home. I'm all,
Well,
I'm all set.
you go ahead and work and don't feel insulted if we're shutting everybody off. That's all. Pam, thank you, Pam, for your help today. And Tina, if you're still observing but not visible.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. for purpose of
Close the
discuss-
public hearing.
To close the public hearing, thank
And
you.
move into executive.
And to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal matters for the commission.
So.
Moved by Ariane, second by Neil. Thank you. All in favor? Oh, any discussion? Any, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.